passionate tennis fan. In his first match at the Cincinnati Open on Wednesday, all eyes were on Djokovic, who couldn't compete in the U.S. recently due to his refusal to take the COVID-19 vaccine. However, as entry rules were relaxed, he finally made his return to the tennis arena. In a match full of twists and turns, Djokovic shone in the first set, winning 6-4 against Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, who unfortunately had to withdraw due to a back issue. The joyous expression on Djokovic's face says it all. Time flies. 4 years feel like yesterday. So, it's definitely great to be back, shared the champion, with an incredible history in the United States, including his 2018
One person. Hi, Akira.
Djokovic didn't...
It's bloody hot here. Bloody hot, mate. It's bloody. No, I haven't gotten my AC fixed. I can barely get 1 or 2 things done a day. This takes most of my energy doing this. All right, let's get going. Let's get going. Mr. Impatient. All right, here we go.
No, I just have to take my son at 1:45. So let's.
All right, let's go. You're on. You're on. Whenever you want to go, do it.
All right, everybody. It's a little earlier. I've had a busy morning and have things to do. So let's start by saying, again, this is not investment advice in case the SEC's living. This is a couple of guys just bullshit back and forth about security fraud by Lynn Partners and the Kramers out of Long Island. Again, this is day 3. How many 3 years of this nonsense now? But 23 years in total for me. Anyway, let's start off by, what did I write down? I wrote down something to speak about, and I can't remember. Well, let's talk about finger motion. Let's start with that. Again, I didn't want to start there, but I just wanted to. I just wanted people to understand. Listen, I despise the fact that these guys are trying to manipulate stocks to lose option money. I got it. I can't stop it. I tried to point out they do it in the video. You know, the videos calls yesterday. The 440s were $4 yesterday. You know, I'm not trying to make it makes it sound any better, but they're 14 cents today. To me, I take a shot at those things. I'm a gambler. I would buy the 440s for today and just close my eyes and see if the stock runs back and goes up 10. You know, you close your eyes. Those are the type of things that I look for on option expiration. Okay, this is just the way I play. This is the way I was taught. You know, you lose, 70% of the time, but when you win, I told you the story. I bought Tesla 300s one time, I think, and the stock ran from 286. It closed at 320. I sold my options at 300s. I paid a quarter for. I sold them at $10 or something like that. They closed at 20, and on Monday the stock opened up 100 points higher. So I mean, that's the power move on a short squeeze when you catch those names. Those are the names I look at to play from a trading aspect. That token will get us on the subway. But again, I don't know how these guys keep having the powder to hold it down to do what they're doing here. They're short 166 million shares. We posted that every day. Now, I went on Twitter before. Just so you know, I helped a shareholder from South Carolina take his cruise with his wife. I took him to the Brooklyn Navy Yard, dropped him off 3 weeks ago. They went on the QE2 or across the pond, and today they returned. So I had his car. I picked him up and put him pointed him to the turnpike and sent them on their way home. But I did that this morning. First shareholder I never met before. I've spoken to him many times, but I never met. So again, I went out of my way, did what I had to do, and was stuck in the Navy Yard and took an Uber home. That's what I did. So anyway, I got back home, and here I am. And some jerk-off puts up there that I'm trying to deflect from GTII. I think I said it every goddamn day. Okay? And I'm sure it's a basher just trying to, who does no legwork, just trying to throw, losing my credibility because this is all my fault. that the Kramers and Lynn Partners can actually manipulate stocks.
And the SEC allows it.
And the SEC allows it. And FINRA looks the other way, the whole bunch. I got it, but I've never neglected it. I said it 40,000 times. They flip-flopped for some crazy reason. I don't know why. But Finger, to me, looks like it's ready to go. And I've been saying it for 15, 20 days already. It's ready to go. It has popped up, pulled back, popped up, pulled back. But this stock is ready to go. You can see the selling has stopped. Accumulation always works. All right. If they want to hold it below 5, if you wanted to buy it, be happy you're getting it below 5. Chasing a stock on the run is very difficult. Buying it when they're giving it to you is the way to play. All right. This stock, to me, you can see it is the downward action is all done to create you, to make you panic and sell. That's what their whole game is. That's all they wanted. They want to use you to drive the stock lower. So they cross, manipulate when there's no buyers. And I've told everyone 1,000 times, if you do buy a stock like this in any name you're playing, you buy a percentage and then you bid for a percentage. Why? If I paid 5, why wouldn't I bid 492 for 1,000 shares and then 488 for 1,000? So if they do come after it, you're standing there and you get it cheaper. And that's the way to do it. If the stock moves up, at least you got 10 or 15% of what you wanted to buy, or 20%. So if you wanted to buy 1,000 shares, you buy 200 or 25% by 250 shares, and then you start bidding for the balance. At least you can add to your position if they try to knock it down. And that's how smart people play the game on accumulation. That's it in a nutshell. The game is nothing, not one thing has changed, but the attack trying to knock down the options. That's it. Nothing else has changed. It's actually gotten stronger. I do believe that the regulators, something is coming out of the DOJ. I reposted that this morning. They will arrest these guys. These are low-hanging fruit guys, easy to track. They're going to parade them in the square and show everybody that they caught the bad guys. So the Kramers, Lynn Partners, Yorkville, Savvy, probably Andrew Left. Those are the type of characters that they'll parade and tell the world we got them for you. Wall Street's a safe place again. All right, that's what they're going to tell you next. All right, remember when companies do reverse splits, people keep asking about AMC. All they're doing is taking the stock to a new number, and it's higher than where it is. If you were shorting the stock at 395, if the stock opens up at 20, I don't know what the reverse is going to be. Why wouldn't you sell it there? What's the difference? It's just more money. That's why they do it. All right, so be careful on your reverse. I'm not going to tell you to sell your AMC. That's your business. I could care less. But again, any company that doesn't fight for you, I'm out. All right, I don't care what you say. Just going back to Finger for a second. Before I go back and I report on GTII on the neglected stock thanks to the basher, I'm losing credibility because I don't report on it 24/7. But I looked at this and someone brought it to my attention, and it's been on the tape for a while. Someone bought 3,300 of the November $2 calls. This has been here it's been here for a while, so it wasn't a new trade. And they bought 1,400 of the $3 calls. Someone bought about, let's make a total, making 5,000 calls of the 350s, of the 2s and the 3s in the money. I think that was done when the stock was cheaper. So someone made a big bet that I believe the stock is going a lot higher by November. That's a pretty big bet. I don't know what they were back then, but they just didn't pop up yesterday. They've been here, he said, and he brought it to my attention. If you look at it on the today's options, I understand we got the 5s, the 6s, with all these options expiring. On the negative side, the shorts, they have their 5s, 4,000 of them. They have their 4s, 4,600 of them, and they have their 2s. So they threw a lot of bullets at it to try to knock this down, the stock down. And all their option trades are, I'm not using this as a victory, but they use a lot of firepower trying to hold us down. All right, they threw the kitchen sink at us trying to hold it down. I don't think it's going to work. That's my opinion, and I think the stock trades higher. GTII, as you can see, it's basically just going sideways, down a few pennies with the marking of the the negative marking down every day of the wash trades. But again, that'll pick up when I believe that finger motion starts running. I think that GTI, I said, when finger motion breaks 10, GTI will be somewhere between $3 and $5. What would I do first? I go with the hot stock, which I believe is finger motion right now. And if I bought finger motion, this is my opinion, at $5, and it runs to 10, I can make $5. I can come back and buy GTI, even if it's $2. All right? Even if it's $2 at the point, I could pay $2 for it and still put $3 in my pocket as profit. So that could be an interesting way to play it. Again, paying higher for GTI is not a big deal if you're making money in the other one. If you're looking for activity and you want movement, I think finger motion is ready to go. And that's just my opinion. People look for action. They want to buy NVIDIA. Is it up? Is it down? Is it sideways? This is where all the hedge fund guys are playing today in a stock like NVIDIA. Because I don't know if it's going to close up at 450 or close down at 400. It's a casino on both sides. But since the options have no more value, they're basically all garbage now. That's when you can make the most money, putting up a little money, and hopefully you can make a lot of money. So imagine if I bought the 440s at 13 cents, $13 a piece, I buy 100, that's $1,300. And the stock closes at 445. So I can make $50,000 for $1,300. That's the bets that option players like to do. We know we lose a lot. We know the game. But those are the type of bets that we look for in the wild swings. Sometimes you can do a straddle and play both sides. I don't know if it's going to break 430 or go past 440, whatever. Sometimes the stock just stops dead and stops at 435, and you lose on both sides. Right? Even though I'm playing for the volatility, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Right? Was it sometimes you're a nut, sometimes you're not? I forget the name of that commercial. Anyway, William,
sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes
you feel like a nut. I don't remember what it was. Thank you. Anyway, any questions?
Well, one person said that there was a really good meeting with MMTLP shareholders and Hester Pierce.
Whoa. So tell me about this meeting. I've been waiting for stuff to come
It was in Texas, and it was a big...
the Texas meeting, right, okay.
It was a big meeting. Everything's big in Texas.
I remember her posting. She wanted to meet shareholders. Yes, go ahead.
So anyway, apparently she was empathetic, and she was positive. So that's all I know.
Listen, if anybody has any recap from that, please post it. I'd love to read about it. I heard a long time ago that Hester Pence, whatever her name is, Pierce Pence, after the Charlie Payne show, that she was actually good for the good team. She was on our side. So hopefully that's a good sign. So
that's the feedback here, that she was quite sympathetic.
I posted that the day after the Charlie Payne show when she was on it. Charlie called her out. I heard about that. All right, I posted that a long time ago. That's nice to see. But go ahead.
Another shareholder points out that she's been watching, or he has been watching the trading in Finger since this pre-market, and there haven't been any 1,000 share trades, or very few. It's an interesting point.
Listen, the one thing you have to understand, everyone on this phone call, you need to find you got to learn to study stocks. Like you said, there hasn't been 1,000 share trades. They're all small trades. Those are signs that one side is getting out of gas. That there's something going on. Maybe they don't have the margin money to sell more. Maybe they've been shut down at some of their places to selling more. Those are things you have to look for. And it's great that you're starting to figure things out for yourself, because, we're not going to be here forever. Understand it. Run it past us. I agree with you. Seeing small trades, if you see 1,000 shares go off, or 800 at the offer, let's say someone tries to take the 496 for 100 shares, and they actually sell them 200 shares and it moves away, it shows that there's no more, they call them iceberg orders, where there's, at 496, they show 100, but they really have 50,000 for sale.
Right.
You know, these guys hide their orders a lot. So these are things you have to recognize, and I'm glad you're starting to pay attention. And, you know, figure out your own technique, what can help you and what helps you figure out what's going on. That's great.
A question is, should Finger issue a restricted dividend?
Yes, they should.
I love your quick answers.
I think Finger Motion should hire Mark Bazile and Sue Lynn Partners for being an unregistered broker-dealer. I think the company should give out a $15 warrant, give a special dividend. Again, I'm not the CEO, not my company, and you're talking to a guy who doesn't believe in anything, and you have to do it yourself. So all these things have been conveyed, sent, and it's not up to me to make that determination. And why would I make it 15? Why not? If the stock's going to squeeze, let the company raise money at $15, right?
Right.
And who would give the money? It would be everybody here, 1,000 shares at a time.
Do you think, for lack of a better word, the crypto flash crash and the Evergrande collapse will put pressure on Wall Street and make it difficult to remain short in Finger and GTII?
Everything, when the shit hits the fan, the Bitcoin flash crash was somebody trying to make sure they got money to protect whatever they're doing. Whoever that was needed money, and they needed it fast, right?
Right.
That's someone liquidating. That's what liquidations look like. Someone needed to get their Bitcoin money back, and they said, "Get me out. Sell it until we're out." And that's what they did. That's what those things look like. Yes, when the pressure gets on the system, money gets tighter and tighter, and it goes both ways. If you're long, they sell them. That's why I keep trying to tell you, if you own these big names, be careful. Those are the first ones they shoot. Okay? When the big names, when they need money, those are the ones they go after first. Like a UNH or a Caterpillar tractor. Those are the stocks get slaughtered first.
There's a gentleman who owns 50 of the November 2 calls in Finger. Should he sell those and buy the stock, or just hold on to his calls in November, $2?
All right. What did he pay for them?
Well, I'm assuming he didn't pay that much because he's had them for a while, but I don't know the answer. Don't know the answer.
The way I look at it is, I would sell those at the two. They're worth $5. They're worth $3. You sell them at $3. You turn around and let's say you paid $1 for them. You make $2. You turn around, you buy a front month. You could buy the 5s for next month at $1, and still have $1 profit in your pocket.
I think if this is the gentleman, he paid 20 cents for them.
So if you sold them at $3, you would make $2.80. You could buy the front month of September's for $1 for free. Put $1.80 in your pocket and walk away. If September doesn't work, you can turn around and buy the October 5s, probably at $1 then. So you can have 2 months worth of options, okay, and put some money in your pocket, and it's a winning trade. If it works in the time that you have it, then God bless you, you kill them twice. That's how I look at it. If the shorts are going to beat it down, I don't believe they're going to beat it back down. But why leave that money on the table? You take profits and you just keep moving it around to, buy a different type of option. That's how I play. But that's just something to think about.
You're doing a great job educating people, but there are still, everyone out there is retail, and they don't know what they're talking about. They don't think things through. And that's how the shorts take advantage. But here's a question for you. Why is GTII sitting on our reward dividend?
Sitting on its what?
The reward dividend.
Why are they sitting on it?
Why is GTII sitting on our reward dividend?
I don't understand the question.
Well, her implication is that GTII somehow is holding the restricted dividend and not delivering it to her or sitting on it. I don't know. It's not a very
The company, listen, these companies are at the mercy of the SEC, FINRA. The company has done everything possible to expose this problem.
right.
Trust me, they're not sitting there saying, hold on to the dividend to screw everybody around because we're GTII.
Right.
That's something Microsoft can do because they're powerful. GTI has no power. They're at the FINRA and the SEC. They dictate what's going on. Okay, with these dividends, the brokerage firms, they jerk around everybody. Also, they lie. They tell them you can have them, you can't have them. Just so you understand, GTI gave out a special dividend of $2.75 a warrant. The stock went to $9. So if you wanted to, you can go buy the stock at GTII at $2.75 and sell it at $9. Right? That's a great trade. But William, what happened when you called up and tried to exercise your warrant? What'd they tell you? Remember?
They said, "Are you with Ham? We're not dealing with you." No, I don't remember exactly what happened, but they slow walked it.
They told you if you paid the $2.75 for your stock, your brokerage firm would not accept the transfer from the transfer agent back into your account.
Yeah.
And you know why they did that? Because the brokerage firm couldn't verify that you were an owner. So instead, they put up a roadblock to people trying to exercise their warrant. All right, because you could make $6 a share. So imagine 1,000 shares, you put up $27.50. And you can sell it at $9, and not you make $9,000 minus the 3, say you make $6,000, and they stop people from doing it. Think about that for a second. That wasn't GTII stopping anything. GTI wanted everyone to exercise their warrant. They get more money. But instead, the brokerage firms lied to everybody and would not accept the transfer. That's Wall Street, the DTC, FINRA, the SEC putting roadblocks up because they knew the short sellers could not deliver that special warrant. They were short.
Apparently, this situation, I guess, the dividend has never shown up in her account, and another gentleman as well. So all I can suggest is you call your broker or the transfer agent.
Just wait until they become free trading, and then we'll discuss it.
Okay. What do you, again, this question, do you think...
Where do I think Finger Motion's going? I think it's going to $1,000 a share. I said it 70,000 times.
Well, okay. I have another question now. What
the capital of Bolivia is La Paz.
How high is the elevation in La Paz?
I have to tell you, everyone, just a quick story. When I was in Dubai, I had a gentleman drive me from Abu Dhabi to Dubai, and I just got off the plane, and the guy was driving, doing over 100 miles an hour, and I had my head down. I closed my eyes. I opened up. The guy's driving 100. I said, whoa, slow down a little bit.
Kilometers.
No, miles per hour. I calculated it. And the highways are perfectly flat. Everybody's doing 100, whatever. And he was from Nepal. He was actually one of those guys that helped the people climb the Mount Everest. All right? What do you call it? Sherpa, something like that. So anyway, I just took an Uber in Brooklyn, and the guy was from the same area. What's the probability of getting two guys from Nepal driving me around? That's amazing. One in Dubai and one in Brooklyn. Anyway, I thought that was funny.
That's pretty interesting. There's no coincidences. So here's the question. If the market crashes, does DBMM go up?
I don't know anything about DBMM except the CEO. I don't know how a stock is trading at 0. Who is selling 150,000 shares at 0060?
That
Why
is
waste
just
your
the SEC allowing these generous people to provide a liquidity and save us from ourselves by liquidating non-existent shares.
That's the only thing I don't understand is who would waste their time waking up and say, I'm going to sell 150,000 shares of whatever that stock, DBMM at 0060. Who woke up today and said, let me get out of it on Friday?
They can make the spread they can make is 100% or more. They can walk away, no taxes, and the SEC doesn't care. But the SEC does care if finger goes up. They'll get a letter right away.
I don't think so. I think the SEC, by us putting the truck in front of the SEC, we've been whistleblowing, okay, screaming for help for 3 years. Not 3 weeks, 3 years. They know Lynn Partners. They know the Kramers. They know MMTLP. Everybody, it's all well known. It's coming to a head. I really believe that. And believe me, I hate the whole system, but I believe it's showtime. It's very different now.
So there's...
And I ask everybody, if you're on Twitter or StockTwits, retweet what you think and what you see. You don't have to be polite to me. You can call me a jerk off. I don't care. Just like I go right out at the bashes. You're not going after my family's money, so take a walk.
Call Ham a jerk off, not me. No, just kidding.
It's okay.
I'm just teasing.
Just don't call me late for dinner. That's it.
Low volume, only a few shares trading, same difference. How are the whales accumulating finger?
I don't control the orders. I told you if I was in charge of it, I would have had the stock at 550 yesterday on the close. This morning, I would have marched it through 6 and see what happens in the afternoon. That would have been my game plan if I was controlling the order. Because they would fight like hell trying to hold it down below the strikes, and that's how you can accumulate a big position.
I would hope my point of view is too selfish, but it would be great if the stock ran today. And there's a whole army here to help whoever wants to buy it, drive it higher.
Again, I'm with you. I'm on your team. I don't control people that want to buy stock. I can't control it. I gave you my opinion how to do it. The way you break it through, they'll come in, try to smash it down. You keep sucking it up from them. You can get them short another 200,000-300,000 shares here at $5, $6. You can get them short. I say between here and $7, you could probably get them short 1.5 million shares and make them choke on it, trying to hold it down.
But anyway, you can't make a horse drink water. Did you discuss GTII and Finger when you met with the hedge funds?
And everyone knows my battle plan.
Somebody's telling me or you that, just for your information, Finger is almost 70% in the dark pool. I personally don't agree with that, but I don't know. You know, maybe.
I can't get the data.
I'm not
today.
an expert.
Tom is out. Tom is off today, so I can't get us an answer. I agree. There's definitely dark pools here, but at the end of the day, it comes down to stock settlement. Doesn't matter what pool you're trading in; they need to deliver.
Timothy Yikes is short TTOO. Whatever. So then there's an important question from
Timothy Sykes is short TTOO.
Yeah.
That guy is a complete fraud and a bullshit artist.
And he does 100 shares at a time. It's not going to change anything.
Okay.
Not Legal Advice would like to know if you follow anything other than college football.
No, I do not.
He says that explains everything.
I've given up on everything in society. Everything. I don't follow. I could care less about anything but finger motion, GTI, and college football, and Jameis Winston in NFL. Other than that, I could care less. I used to watch baseball games. I don't even watch the highlights. I never watched basketball. I used to love hockey. I don't watch it. I watch nothing. Zero. I sit on that night, and I watch things on YouTube that can help us out. I try to post them. I read the SEC enforcement blog, FINRA blog. I look for stories that can help us. I've been doing this for a long time. And I tell you all, don't get consumed in it. All you have to do is retweet what you like, what you see, spread the word, and there's good people here helping us out. And hopefully that the baton will be passed and you guys can finish this off and I can ride into the sunset. Whatever that may be.
What's a grit? No, that's from a movie. Do you know what happens, or do you have an opinion on what happens to meme stocks when the market crashes?
First of all, everyone's got to cut it out with that name. It means nothing. They created it. It's the hedge funds that created it. They took up Rite Aid, right? It was so hot, stopped. Tupperware, hot, stopped. They create these. They create it. They're creating it, and they're blaming retail.
Yeah.
I'm listening, and I speak with retail every day, and they're not doing shit. I never heard a name from anybody.
Yeah.
They look around at these names, and what do? They buy 500, 1,000 shares. They're not. I see no posting on it. I see nothing on these names. This is Wall Street hedge funds playing this game. Don't get caught up in it.
So what happens to these shorted stocks when the market crashes?
They go up.
Somebody on a space call or ARCA, one or the other, said that in GTII, 400 million shares short can be hidden in credit swaps or under the category of shares yet to be bought.
Okay. Sounds like what we're talking about. Where they're hiding it, where it's gone, it'll get exposed. In the Alpine case, okay, they're hiding something. That's why they're hiding it. A concentrated short position. That's where they're hiding it. So we will get to the bottom of it, and it's coming. If they thought they can win, they let the stocks go higher. That's all you need to know. So everybody who sits here saying they're hiding it, we're never going to get it, blah, 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 blah. Why are they working so hard to manipulate stocks down? That's all you have to ask yourself.
I was just thinking, people could get out of this market and go into real estate, but real estate's just as corrupt. I wonder if there's any market in the United States that isn't corrupted.
It's so funny. You could buy a house and rent it out, and you get a squatter in there. You can't get them out. You have no rights. It's just unbelievable that everything is so crazy.
Do you think, and I think it's I actually think it's a reasonable question, even though it will come across as crazy. Do you think Finger can close at $6 and above today?
It can close at $50. I don't know. There's so many options and so much, such a big short position. A break to the upside will get you infinite. So again, I've said it many times. We're following this name and we're following GTII because I believe they're life-changing situations. Nothing has changed. The stock went to 10, pulled back down. It's gone up to 7, pulled back down, and we're still standing here talking about it. So we're still talking about it because the life-changing event has not happened yet.
Yeah, and one person
That's the only reason we're still here. There's no other reason to stand here. If this was a normal stock, I wouldn't sit here all day. I would buy it. What am I going to talk about? There's nothing to say. I'm here because the company has the cure for cancer, and I'm going to sit and hold on to it and pray it works. That's how you're supposed to invest. Not sitting here defending the manipulation 24/7. This is not normal. You think I want to sit here and talk about security fraud every day? We call the police. We call the police every day, and no one showed up. Well, what are we supposed to call? What are we supposed to do next?
Yeah.
Think about it. There's someone knocking on your door with a gun. Who are you calling? If you don't have a gun in your house, you're calling the cops, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to put you on hold and say, hey, sorry about that. We're a little busy. Don't get shot. That's what they're going to say. This is what the SEC is telling us. And you're getting robbed. We don't care. That's what they're saying. But I do believe the heat is on and they can't hide it anymore. And a lot has to do with MMTLP. They created such a mess by shutting that down that they actually destroyed themselves.
The heat is on. A double question from the same person. She understands that if the markets crash, that puts pressure on the shorts, obviously. She's also wondering how long would the squeeze and finger last once it started?
Well, I told you before, you have to, it depends on the trading. For example, Sam, Peter, George, Charlie. Sam, Peter, George, Charlie. They went from $3 or $4
right
to 28 and back to $2.60, all within 4 days.
Okay.
You can go look at yourself. Sam, Peter, George, Charlie. There was no resistance. The shorts laid into it. When the shorts folded, the stock exploded. There was no other shorts in resistance. So it shot up like a rocket. When it ran out of fuel, it just crashes.
Yeah.
That is your 1 day round trip short squeeze. Kodak had the same type of squeeze. Then you have your GameStop squeeze where it just spun out of control for what? A year and a half?
Yeah.
AMC, year and a half? They had many eruptions, many small eruptions. So when it goes up, we can tell what it's going to do as it starts to rise. Like if the stock goes, if finger motion goes where it is now, it's $5 and gaps in a minute to 10 on 100,000 shares, it starts running from there. I could sit there and honestly tell you, there's no resistance. This thing's going fast. If it runs to 10, pushes back to 7, and is trading millions of shares, then it pops to 15, down to 10, up to 20, down to 15, that means it's going to take a long time. And it won't be in a straight line.
I'll let you answer this one. I have my own answer, but I think yours would be...
Yes, the answer is yes.
Your answer would be better. The gentleman that has 50 contracts for November 2, he paid 20 cents. Would you just hold on to those, or would you roll them into a different option? Different month, different...
I'm a believer in I believe that you just made a wonderful trade. Maybe when it runs up and the stock goes to 6, you can sell them, you make $4, and then you turn around and you can buy a free shot option, and you put $5 in your pocket. That's how you got to look at these things.
My question, no one's asking this, but I think it would be nice to point out to people that by buying August calls, they paid a premium. But if they had purchased September calls at that time, they might be losing more premium as of today than walking away from the August.
I'll give you an example. If you bought the August calls at 50 cents, the next month, the September calls were probably $1.15 to $1.20, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a premium. Today, those options, the October calls are offered at 50 cents. Even though your calls went to 0, if you put them both together, you paid $1, right?
Right.
You're still 15 to 20 cents in your pocket ahead of the game. I know it's a loser. I got it. But that's why you buy the front month, because there's less premium. If the stock is going to work, okay, then both options are going to work. If it's not going to work, you're going to get destroyed on the front month, and you're going to get destroyed on the back month, which is what happened. The back month options go down too.
Right.
They don't. The back month options, the September options, didn't go up in value when the stock went down because it's more time.
Right. I think that's all the questions that I have, but there might be more as we sit here. What the stock seems to be trading up.
Listen, if you were short, just the 800,000, the real short, it's traded 200,000 shares today. Just the 800,000 on shortsqueeze.com, the real short. That's short below $2. They're down $3. They were down 4, 5. Why wouldn't you cover it? Because they know once they start covering, they can't stop the whole game. Whoever is the real short is tied to the naked short.
Right.
And the same thing in GTII.
But it's okay by the SEC. They don't mind that kind of collusion.
Just put the collusion together. It's the same people.
Yeah. It's okay. It's good for the markets.
It's good for the markets. Let me do everything possible to deceive and steal from the retail investor. And Mr. Hoffman is showing you about
Alpine.
Alpine, how crooked they are, and that is a prime broker that granted access to the depository trust. So eventually, if you look at it this way, the DTC takes in anyone. You're a counterfeiter, crook. Come on in. You can help loot your own clients. Knock yourself out. The only time they get mad, Richard, is when the DTC is going to lose. And that's what the fight is about, because they know they have liability. All right? You saw the DTC looking to raise money. They have liability when their members fail. I told you that 1,000 times.
Who owns the DTCC?
All the brokerage firms, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, depending how much business you do.
Somebody's asking what kind of gummies do you take, but whatever.
I don't know.
I've been giving my dog that CBD thing for nighttime.
Let me tell you something, it's the best.
You're turning into a pothead in your own age.
That's okay. I'll take it. I never smoked a cigarette, never took a drug. I hung out with guys that were doing cocaine all night in every nightclub in the city. I never did a drug. I was a champagne girl. That's what I was. That's what they used to call me. But again, I never did it. But again, when your mind is racing at night, thinking about finger motion and GTII like I've been doing for years, I was getting up in the middle of the night with ideas, and I had it posted at that point. So I said, I can't do this anymore. So someone suggested it, and it's actually worked wonders.
One gentleman's pointing out that $5 is probably the closing price to cause the maximum pain. Yesterday, I kind of in a flippant way said it might close at 6 today. I don't know that they would close it just at 5. It could be 4, it could be 6, it could be 7. But anyway, there's nothing really to comment on that.
Stocks explode in a second. I mean, just keep your eyes on. I can't tell you when it's going to go, but when it goes, it will go. That's just the way it is. These guys are trapped. There's no way out. We all know about it. A gentleman texted me today. He's got a $20 billion fund he's introducing me to. All right, so I'm not giving you his name, but people keep bringing new people to the table. It's a great story. It's a great pitch, and it's an easy thing to tell. And it just rolls off my tongue. Any question from any money manager, and I can answer them in a second, because I speak their language, which is gibberish.
If Donald Trump were to be arrested and actually put in jail, would that affect the stock markets?
Yes. They affect the stock market?
Yeah.
Listen, you're all, that whole political nonsense is a big scam. I don't pay attention to it. Patrick Burns said, vote for Donald Trump, and he will get naked short selling taken care of. To me, that's good enough for me. They can burn everybody else. I could care less. I need Donald Trump to vote to take care of the naked short selling. Patrick Byrne is the guy. He said it on the call with us. Vote for Donald Trump, do your part, and I'll end it. So that's what I'll stick with that. Patrick Byrne is a man of his word.
Yeah.
And they don't, trust me, Wall Street doesn't want him controlling the SEC, and he will get it done.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? A Patrick Byrne in charge of the SEC? Wow.
And he said it on the call with us. He said, vote for Donald Trump, and the first thing we'll do is take care of this. That's what he said. So I posted it, and now stick with it.
Then you could have Elon Musk in charge of the First Amendment, whichever department is. Skinny Whale is right. She says the whole market is a threat to national security. I happen to agree with her.
And we agree with you 1,000%. That's why I call them financial terrorists. Follow the money trail to offshore. You saw 27 trillion park in Europe someplace, right? We saw that. You read
in one organization. I mean,
right.
It's incredible.
So there you go. Where's that money? Where's it going to? Can you imagine the money that's being siphoned out of the U.S.? Now, shame on you if it's coming back to the U.S. to Lynn Partners, whatever. Well, Lynn Partners has is tied to the Taliban and pays them half their money, or the Kramers are involved with some offshore criminal organization. Let's see where the money trail leads to.
Yeah.
That's it. It's pretty easy.
Finger is up. 21 cents on the day.
Listen, that's not going to make people happy. I got it. I understand it. But again, accumulation, this is a stock that can change your life. It's right in front of you. And once this works, you know where we're going next. So for the basher, who said that I'm losing credibility because I don't talk about the stock all day long, you know what I'm going to say to him. So take a walk. I can't control manipulation. I've said it 1,000 times. And we will do everything in our power to force the issue, to force them to cover. And I do believe the FBI, and I told you before, the shareholder, besides myself, went to the FBI. He said they know all about the Kramers. He gave him a folder on the Kramers. We have a shareholder that dug up that one of the Kramers, the older one, whoever it is, Kurt or Seth, whatever their names are, is hiding his house under his dad's name. I mean, so shareholders are doing their work, all right? That's all been passed to the FBI.
I wonder if they had darker skin color and they were selling bags of pot or cocaine or whatever the units are, if they did it these thousands of times, if they'd still be protected by the DOJ.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. I'll be the first guy to tell you that.
So
I think one of my cousins got arrested for selling pot on the corner, and he went away. So that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, but this kind of white collar crime is good. It's good for the country.
I told you said it best. Pablo Escobar should have just been naked shorting from Colombia. He'd be walking around. He would have this American Express black card, walking around, spending all the money in the world, never flying, and be the biggest hedge fund ever.
Yeah.
Boy, did he make the wrong. He picked the wrong business.
He could own governors in the United States and
everybody.
Yeah.
He probably would have been the president of Colombia today. All of them. I don't know. That's just become naked short sellers. Why would anybody do anything else? When you speak to your politician, anyone speaks to a law enforcement, just ask them, hey, I want to become a naked short seller. Can you show me how to do it? I want to sell counterfeit stock. Everybody's doing it. It's the rage. I want to steal from the doctors, the police. When you see police officers, tell them, say, listen, I'm going to become a naked short seller on Wall Street. Where's your pension money? Oh, it's good. Oh, great. I'm going to sell that and steal your money. Tell them right to their face. And you can't do anything about it.
Talk about regulation, full disclosure. Gensler should fully disclose that he's going to do F-all if there's fraud in the markets in the United States. But he won't do that.
Listen, if I was the head of the SEC and I didn't have the power to fix this crime, which I believe is a political hand grenade, no one wants to go to the Congress and say, hey, everybody, sorry about that, but under my watch, the whole stock market has been counterfeited, and I don't know what to do about it. At least come out and say it. But he should definitely come out and say, hey, do not invest in U.S. equity markets. It's completely out of control. We can't do anything to stop the fraud. So you're better off just going to buy gold and go away. There's nothing else I can tell you. Go buy a Tesla car and enjoy your life. Don't waste your money here.
All right, so you have 3 minutes to do your family duty. So,
Yes. Anything else?
$5 price point seems critical. Is that because of options? Is it because of margin?
It's just a non-event.
Is it possible whales are waiting for Finger to hit a number before they buy?
I can't tell you how they do it.
How's the documentary going?
Excellent.
And yes, I do know how to text. Whoever asked me that. Somebody asked me if I know how to text. I don't blame them.
Lynn Partners and the Kramers will be the stars of our show. Actually, I want to get someone to superimpose them and put them in drag on the show.
Oh, somebody's saying he hates it when racism creeps into the streams. I meant the exact opposite. Completely anti-racist, but
There's
anyway,
no racism.
I
Listen, there's no racism
apologize.
here. We're trying to tell you you worry about a two-tier system. These guys are all white-collar crime guys, and they're just getting a slap on the wrist is what we're saying.
That's all I'm saying. Yep.
My cousin is as white as could be, and he went to jail for selling drugs. He should have been naked short selling. He'd be living on Park Avenue having a party every day.
This guy's also pointing out, he's right. He's saying the precious metals markets are manipulated. The bond market's manipulated. I think the real estate market is being manipulated now. So,
well, we know, BlackRock and all these guys have been buying all the places, driving up the rents. That's what they're doing. That's because they can't make money in the stock market. They're doing other things. They're buying assets now, and they can manipulate the people by paying rent and doing things like that.
Yeah.
When the market crashed, I forget when, maybe 2008, a friend of mine went to Orlando and he worked, I think, for BlackRock or one of the big funds, and he bought houses everybody was tossing out the window, and they bought thousands of houses, and he was in charge of cleaning them up, getting them painted, and putting them back out for sale or rent. And they took over the whole Orlando market back in the day. Houses they were buying for $200,000, they were flipping back out for $500,000 after just painting them when the market turned. That's what they did.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, I have to run. Everyone have a great weekend. I hope it goes to the moon when I'm running around today. But again, everything is stronger than before. It's another day closer to the end. We're not letting them get away. And for the moron that says that I don't follow GTII, I say it every day, the same thing. And I've never backed away at all. I just can't say anything until something happens. What would you like me to say? Anyway, listen, have a great weekend, and I wish everyone the best.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Ham.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted the 50 contracts, the guy that has 50 contracts, I don't know that you have to do it today, but if the stock runs up a bit, sell those contracts, and then counterintuitively, maybe just buy 50 or 100 in the near month with throwaway money, just knowing it might not work, but at least you've taken $3 or $4 or $5 off the table in those calls. That's a nice trade you made. So anyway, well, the capital markets may crash, but just remember one thing. You don't want to fight the Fed, and I think the Fed will be in there buying the S&P 6 or the S&P 7, Apple, Alphabet, Disney, Nvidia, Lydia, I can't think of the rest. Facebook, Google, I guess that's the same as Alphabet. They just have their 6 or 7 they buy, and they'll be doing it. Then there was another question that I saved. Oh, somebody said, is Nexbridge going to pay a dividend to MMTLP? No. Nexbridge is going to maybe pay a dividend to Nexbridge shareholders. I was thinking yesterday after at least one of you, but it might have been more than you, or it might than one. It might have been the same person twice. I can't remember. But someone was pointing out that the transfer agent might be accepting more shares than exist, than ostensibly exist. And that might be possible. I was thinking about that all night, that maybe behind the scenes, somebody has struck a deal. Let's just get the number. Let's get the real shares over to American Stock Transfer, and let's get the rest of them over there. And then the system, Goldman, the guy that owns the Mets, the guy that owns the governor of Illinois and Florida, maybe they put up money and they finance Nexbridge. I would argue if that kind of deal has been struck, Nexbridge is going to get a lower price than they would have if they had just used my idea. But you got really smart people there. You got really smart, and they're not going to settle at a low price. Anyway, if that's happening, the reason I'm bringing that up, if that's happening, I would expect included in some settlement like that would be a cash dividend to everybody. But that's all speculation on my part. I don't have any knowledge of anything specific. That seems like all the questions I had. Why would AST take on the gigantic liability? They wouldn't. AST. AST is like a title company. They wouldn't. They're not taking on any risk. They wouldn't. I don't know if that's a serious question, so I don't know if you really want me to answer it. But what would have to have been prearranged is that Nexbridge has agreed to honor all shares presented, real or fake, and then the true up would be that Goldman Sachs et al. Pays Nexbridge cash, pays the lawyers, pays any penalties, and I think included in the amount would be a cash distribution. But AST would not assume any liability at all. But anyway, thank you for your question. All right, so not legal advice. I do not believe there is currently such a deal in place. But you do believe other actions by Nexbridge are planned. All right. So much for my speculation. I did admit it was a speculation. No, it's fine, Quantum. It's fine, Quantum. I like this name. Sunil Suktankar. It's a good name. Strong name. If the stock market would crash, wouldn't it be easier to naked shorts to bring finger down? I think the exact opposite. But let me think your question through. If the market went to such a disaster that brokerage firms were collapsing and everything just disintegrated, maybe you're right. But in a market crash, the lines of credit, the margin extended, the house calls turn into Fed calls. No, the shorts would be under massive pressure to close out those transactions. The people short these stocks, well, not all of them, but many of them have other positions. So as, let's say, their Nexbridge, Tesla or others start going down, they start closing out their short positions. It would have the opposite. It's counterintuitive, but the short stocks would actually go up. They're a liability to the brokerage firms right now, the prime brokers and even the broker dealers, and they would want to clean them up. I'll talk about LGIQ. Oh, you're from India. That's great. It's your fault they're going to have a brick currency. That's one country I would love to visit. I would love to visit, but I don't want to do it by myself. All right, so logic. I've decided that I'm only going to talk about logic, not go logic. Not because go logic isn't an excellent investment. It's just so confusing to talk about both. And I think logic, everything's in place. With go logic, everything's in place as well, but there's still a couple of moving parts in terms of ratios and etc. So I think I can get away with focusing on logic alone, and then go logic and RCRT. I think there's going to be news on RCRT next week, but I think we can focus on logic over the next few days and not miss anything, I hope, in go logic. Because it's just so confusing. I notice every time I talk about it, even my own head starts spinning. So where we are with logic is there's the S4 pending before the SEC to grant approval to Aubrey SPAC absorbing the distribution of data logic, which is the guts of the company. And Aubrey SPAC right now is up. Trading for basically $11, a little bit under $11. So that deal was priced at $10 for Aubrey SPAC. It's at $11. So just for ease of calculation, Logic is trading for $30. The data Logic spinoff to the SPAC should be approved next week. Do I know that for a fact? No, but it doesn't look like it's this week. So I think it'll be next week. It'll take about 2 weeks or less to get the votes. They're already lined up. But I've used $1.14. I think it might be better to use $1.25, or maybe just under, because the price is up 10%. So that number you should add 11 or 12 cents to that. But anyway, call it $1.20, $1.25. Once the S4 is announced as approved, which could be next week, you'll have the vote, and then this distribution will happen. Aubrey SPAC is a NASDAQ traded stock. It's a SPAC. They'll de-SPAC it. They're going to call it, Collective Joy or something. And that stock will trade. There's going to be ratios involved there, but basically it should be trading at about $1.25, maybe as high as $2 or $2.50 a share. Just that distribution, which you're paying for 30 cents, once it's Aubrey SPAC, NASDAQ traded, investment bankers, revenues are in it, and additional companies, other deals are added in, I think it's $1.25, maybe $2, maybe $2.50, maybe more. And you're buying that for 30 cents right now. In addition, Logic, the shell, what's happening right now is shorts are shorting Logic, whether legally or not, because they figure, hey, Logic is distributing data logic to the Aubrey SPAC. So all of the earnings, the platform, the artificial intelligence, the technology, it's all going to Aubrey SPAC. What's left? Nothing's left. That's how they're thinking. So we'll short it and we'll drive it downward. Maybe we can get it to 10 cents. Maybe we can get it to 5 cents. It's just a shell. And we control it because in Gary Gensler's world, we can sell stock we don't own. We can sell stock we haven't located. We can sell stock that we never intend to deliver. We can play loose with securities laws because it helps Goldman Sachs. Anything that's good for Goldman Sachs can't be illegal. So anyway, that's why they're shorting this stock. But I've told you before, I think even yesterday, that they had a deal to put into this shell. It was a placeholder, Privco or Privco, Prive Co. I don't think that was the name of the company. I just think it was a private company. But it's a weird abbreviation, so maybe it was the name of the company. I don't know. But that was going to be worth 40 cents a share when I drew these up. That deal is gone. There were fewer shares then, but Brent let that deal go away. Why? I don't know. Was it just to destroy the value of Logic? I don't think so. Was it because he's just not doing a good job? I don't think so. I think the reason he let Privco go is because he has better deals. He's getting deal flow that's incredible with the help of bankers, with the help of his own contacts, with years and years of work, years and years of being under the gun because of the criminality that the SEC allows. He's been under pressure. But guess what? It's spinning back around to his favor, to your favor, because the IPO markets for small stocks are essentially shut right now. So he's getting to see so many good deals. So my guess is, even though there's more shares outstanding right now, the modus operandi of Gary Gensler's protected investor class, the criminals who sell stock that don't exist. That's Gary Gensler's protected investor class, fraudsters. But hey, he's the only one that has to look in the mirror at himself every day. I'm glad I don't see his visage each day when I look in the mirror. I got enough to deal with here. Anyway, I think it's going to be at least 40 cents a share. I bet it's higher than this. Let's call it 50 cents. I told you this might be $1.25. So you're buying Logic for 30 cents. You get $1.25 in the SPAC, and I think 50 cents in the shell combined. 30 cents becomes $1.75, $1.80. You get 5 to 6 times your money. And if they announce the S4 next week, this starts becoming clear. You don't have to trust me. You don't have to think it through. It's just in black and white. Could they still have a discount to these prices until the deal closes? Sure. But I would expect the deal to close, let's say, by September 8th. I think that's a Sunday. So maybe September 10th or 15th. And anyway, it's 5 to 1. It might be 10 to 1 on your money. It might be 8 to 1 over the next few weeks. So anyway, that's Logic. And Go Logic without going through the explanation is almost an identical story, almost identical. And in return for maybe 60, 70, 50 cents a share, actually the returns could be much higher by the end of the year. But I just don't want to go into it because I found the other time I was talking about it, discussing the different companies, it confuses the two projects. They're just so similar. That GoLogic has a couple of moving parts that haven't totally been nailed down. But I will caution, I think there will be an announcement on GoLogic or RCRT as early as next week as well. Both companies are aiming for a month-end proxy and then a record date and an effective date in the first or second week of September for their events. They're very good stories. China is about to stimulate their economy. Yeah, I agree with that. I think China has some problems, and Skinny. I don't know. I can't. I can't go through all the angles on it. But over from the British Empire to the United States Empire, and maybe before, if it were the Dutch to the Brits, I don't know. But just sticking with the Anglo-American Empire, every country that's tried to move to gold or move to something else, their leaders are attacked or their leaders die or something happens. And the other thing I notice happens is for all of the gold they accumulate, whether it's Venezuela or Russia back at the turn of the century, not now, I'm not talking about now, or other countries, somehow the New York, London, Tokyo hub gets the gold back somehow. And I just sometimes wonder if the pressures on China might mean they have to disgorge the gold they've been, a lot of the gold they've been accumulating. Right now, it's hard to think of how that would happen, but it's just something in the back of my head. We'll see. They are dumping the dollar, but China's future is its own middle class, the middle class of India, the middle class of Southeast Asia, the middle class of Russia, and the middle class of the Middle East, and possibly Africa and other parts of the world. But one can question how quickly those markets are going to replace the world's greatest consumer, the United States. And I'm not sure. They are dumping the dollar. They're accumulating gold. I would do that. As long as the dollar has value, go ahead and buy gold. But I still think they need the dollar. And I think the world needs the dollar. I'm talking against my own proselytization over the last 2 decades. But I just think that the bankers, the military, the big U.S. companies, even the United States itself, we're just not going to allow the diminuization, the to be made diminutive. We're not going to allow a lessening role of the dollar in a major way. It's already come down. I think it's gone from 76% of the world's reserves. Now we're around 60%, and it's headed lower. But I just think we won't go down without a fight. And I think as much as China and the United States are pissing at each other, we need each other. We need each other. If someone bought 1 million shares 1 minute before the close at a price of $4.90. Your question has two parts. If somebody tried to buy 1 million shares at the close, it might go up. But if someone accomplished buying 1 million shares, I bet it's a cross and it would have very little impact. That's a bad answer. But I think if they crossed 1 million shares, one criminal to the other criminal, or one opportunist to another opportunist, they'd have the price organized and it wouldn't go anywhere. But if there is a buyer that wants to accumulate 1 million shares and they put it in at the close and it takes out the ask and then it becomes the bid, that could have a dramatic impact, and it could move the stock quite a bit even in a few minutes. But I don't know if anyone will do that. The U.S. has become bullies, and Skinny Whale, at the risk of really annoying you, which I don't mean to do, because I completely respect you and actually look up to your analysis and your studying. But I'm going to say something that is risky. But I think the United States has become more bullying under this current administration. Oh my gosh, can I believe I'm saying this? Because it's being run by women. Victoria Nuland, Samantha, whatever her name is, the other one. I take a different view than the common perception that if women are in charge, somehow they're kinder, they're nicer, they're more reasonable, and there wouldn't be wars. I think Victoria Nuland and a couple of women at the White House, at the State Department, and to be fair, it's a guy above Victoria, Blinken. But anyway, I take a huge risk saying that, I know. But I just think, I agree with you, we are being bullies, and I lay the blame at Victoria Nuland. And maybe I'm wrong to make the conclusion that it's because she's a woman. Maybe it's just because she's married to Robert Kagan, one of the most right-wing of people in political thought. Anyway, we are bullies, and I lay it at the feet of Victoria Nuland. Finger needs some volume. Well, I think it was Skinny Whale that pointed out earlier that this volume being low is actually really a good thing. I don't mean that it's going to go up today, but it could. But I think it's good for next week. Sorry, it's hot here. My eyes are getting all... Women and men, there's no difference. I don't know. I don't know about that. Guys can get in a fight with each other verbally, and they know it could lead to fisticuffs, so they also back down. I don't know. I'm not a sociologist. I shouldn't talk on things I don't know about. Yes, human beings are human beings, whether they're men or women. And we're all capable of great goodness, and unfortunately, we all have a darkness in us, and that's why. Anyway, that's what some grace came to the planet for. But anyway, women are smarter. Maybe. I think women are more powerful. How long am I going to keep trying to pump GTII? I've been here since the beginning, and you sounded like the stock was about to mother of all squeeze 7 months later. Here we are, lower than ever. ET, in October of last year and November of last year, Thanksgiving basically, GTII went from about $1 to $10. It was on the back of a special dividend, a warrant as a special dividend at $2.75. Frank Benedetto, Lou Bravo, and COSM, the CEO of COSM, came to you and they said, hey, GTII at $7, $8. There's something wrong. Come over to COSM. There's 2,000% shares short. They're going to change their name. That's going to start a squeeze. They're going to change their QSIP number. That's really going to start a squeeze. And the company will not do a deal with the shorts. And they're going to hire, they're going to go on upstream. Well, everyone left GTII in a hurry. The stock went from around 6, 7, 8 down to $1 again. COSM, to my memory, went from 18 cents, 21 cents to 84 cents, and then it sandbagged everybody. The CEO did a deal at 1/3 of the price of the high. Everybody lost money except the first people in, and maybe except for the Greek CEO who brought in $35 million. He probably paid off people to help him, and he probably traded his own account over in Germany and elsewhere. But those musketeers came in and convinced people to leave GTII. GTII was in the middle of a squeeze. Fidelity was paying 1,000% to borrow stock. Wells Fargo took away the buy button. And every brokerage firm was slow walking the exercise of the warrants. A squeeze was in place. The Kramers were down and their partners were down almost $1 billion. Do you think it was conceivable that money changed hands? That money paid off people to break the squeeze? I'm not smart enough to figure it out. But all I'm telling you, you're going to blame me for that? You're going to blame me for the criminal bribery and manipulation, money flowing in hands, and other people coming in here with their pom-poms and their drum major to distract people out, to destroy the squeeze that was in process? You're going to blame that on me? Okay, blame it on me. I didn't see that these guys would come in their own self-interest and take $30-40 million from your pockets for the benefit of some piece of shit company that had contracts to sell crap that anybody could do. And they changed their name from COSM to COSM. Anyway, that's the number one reason that GTII squeeze did not happen at that time. Also at that time, Alpine took the deal, I think, from the Kramers, and they hired shorts to come in and attack it. Are you going to blame me for the shorts coming in? Go ahead. Go ahead. I think you should blame Gary Gensler, Robert Cook, the over-the-counter markets, your broker-dealer, and the prime brokers for allowing this criminality to happen. But if you want to blame me, blame me. That means you've got a brain the size of half a hollowed out pea. You've been told that this is criminality, that this is what the shorts do. And you expect on the one hand to benefit from a short squeeze that has been caused by the disproportionate number of fake shares sold. You expect to benefit from that in a short squeeze, mother of all squeezes as you call it. But on the other hand, you want to blame me for the short selling that's occurring. Here's my recommendation to you. Sell GTII. Sell it. I'm not giving you personal advice. I cannot give you financial advice. But if you come at me with that kind of crap, you don't belong in the stock. I recommend you go buy the T. Rowe Price Industrial Conservative Stock Fund. Now, the second thing that happened with GTII, that was the biggest and the worst. But the second thing that happened with GTII that I didn't use the word as you're using it, mother of all squeezes. I never used that word. I don't recall ever using that word in my life, except right now as I'm saying it. To quote me, I think I said something to the effect of, I've never seen a better time to buy an Oriental rug. I think that's what I said. Well, at that time, in GTII, I heard from many sources over many weeks and many months, and then I heard definitively that the syndicate for the $250 million, $350 million bond for the Trento mine to be acquired had been created, had been subscribed, and the money had been wired. And they were waiting for one final sign-off to send the money to Trento Mines. I can tell you that now because it never happened. I think things did happen, but that final wire apparently never happened. It may be because the bond market got in trouble, but you're going to blame that on me. Get out of the stock. I don't want you in the stock. And if you're mad because you have losses, sell it at 70 cents, buy this for 30 cents. Anyway, I'm never, ever going to give a specific hint on a recommendation on why GTII might go up pending my understanding of events, news in the background. I'm never going to do it again. You're such a wise ass. You think what I say is a guarantee? Let me be clear. I do not have a crystal ball. Nothing I say is a guarantee, and it is not financial advice. Now, to finish on a positive note, I think when finger motion goes, GTII is going to move in lockstep with finger motion. But gentlemen, I forgot your handle. Get the hell out of the stock. Sell it. And stop listening to my YouTubes. Get your information somewhere else. You don't belong in the stock market. Fingers over 5? Yay. 501. Too bad, you know? It's too bad that it's not going to help us. Oh, that's Waylon Jennings. Waylon. He has so many good songs. She stood beside me, letting me know she would be something to lean on when everything ran out on me. Fenced yards ain't whole cards, and like is not, never will be. Reason for rhymers and old five and dimers like me. Who pointed out that it's over $5? It looks like it's moving. It's 502. I don't know. It'd be funny. It'd be really something if they could move it to $6. It wouldn't help me, but it would be just funny that they could do that. Who sang that? Don't mess with Bill. Marilyn McCoo. Just $10 more. And your calls are in the money. Well, what I'm intrigued about, I'd love it to go up for you. I'd love it to go up. It could happen, by the way. In an hour and a half, this could be up $2, $3. But it's highly unlikely, highly unlikely. But what I'm intrigued by is what happens to the shorts if this stock closes up $1. Monday morning could get really exciting. RC LaBelle, I think it could go to $6. I do too. I think yesterday I said, could it go 4, 5, or 6? And as I signed off, I said 6. I was kind of tongue in cheek. The gentleman earlier who said $5 is maximum pain, I think he's right. But wouldn't it be amazing if it closed at 6? Woody, you can tell your girlfriend that you're a millionaire. You just don't have to tell her it's in dinars. So Rocco Piscazzi, I have the $5 calls. Will let them expire, and I will own the stock at $5.75. I'm good with that. Gosh, it's been so long for me. But I think you have to notify your broker before the close that you intend to exercise. And I'm trying to remember, if the stock closes at 5 or better, maybe they just automatically exercise it for you. But what I remember, when I had clients short puts, for example, we could put the stock Saturday, or even get the notice. I would get the notice maybe Monday morning. But when we were long calls, I just don't remember. I think when we were long calls in the money, it might have been automatic. But I'm not positive. I think because it was our right to call the stock, we had to exercise that right rather than just assume it was going to happen. So I don't know. Is Jenny Rebecca here? She has dog hairs. You're a millionaire. You're a million hair. You're a million hair. That's what you are. A million hair. Oh, some automatically do it if you have the money. That makes sense. That makes sense. Jenny the million hair. Look at that, 504. God. I wish this had happened a week ago. Tough. It's tough. What if you don't have the money? Could you exercise? I wonder. You are a millionaire. Oh, 5045, 5045. 503 to 508. By the way, on my comment earlier, there were some men in the previous administration under George W. Bush that were really warmongers. So you're right. It's men and women. I'm thinking Donald Rumsfeld and John Bolton. So you are right. Whoever said it's men and women, you are right. I can exercise for free. Yeah, John Bolton. Yeah. What an arsehole. What a pompous arsehole. The brokers will let you sell to close. Oh, and they book the profit, maybe. And Dick Cheney. Oh. Dick Cheney before he dicks you. 503, 508. 503, 508. It's 229. Could you imagine if it made a run to $8? While we're dreaming, might as well say, could you imagine it would run to $10 by the close? I don't see any volume here. But that's an interesting question. It's low volume, so why would they be letting it go up if they're just crossing with themselves? There might be a big order in there. Hillary attacked Libya. I'm not sure she did it. I think it was Obama, but I think it was her policy and she pressed for it. And I'll never forget her glee when she said, "We came, we saw, he died," and she started laughing. I mean, is that any worse than George Patton or something? I don't know. What is worse is that Libya is now a collapsed state. Slavery is rampant. And this is a woman for women's rights. Well, these aren't, I guess, her kind of women and daughters, but the abuses and the violation of female rights in Libya, it's off the charts. I'm ignoring the men because, men are men. Men are men and not fade away. We've been running the House. I'm a Democrat. But I don't like my party right now, so maybe it's fair that you're saying we're running the House. I did vote for Trump, which makes it all confusing. $5 to 508. I read a great book on Patton, and that's a complicated guy, but I'm trying to remember. Oh, the book I'm reading now, The Prize, talks about how Patton could have finished the war sooner. He would have been the first to Berlin if he had had oil. But Eisenhower decided to give the oil to Montgomery. And so Patton had to cool his jets. But the real message is the modern war machine, the modern security is based on oil. It's based on oil. Trump used to be a Democrat. I sometimes wonder if he's closer to being sort of a Kennedy Democrat, a John F. Kennedy Democrat, than he is to being a Ronald Reagan Republican. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be president again. He's got 72 indictments. They're going to do everything they can to I don't know, guys. I said it yesterday and I'll say it again today. I will trade you, whoever you want for president this time around. You can have him, you can have her, whoever it is. But in return, what I want is fair elections, honest, transparent, fair, paper ballot, one day to vote elections for the rest of the existence of the United States of America. 503, it's no volume. It's no volume. Your grandfather was Omar Bradley, senior enlisted aide. I never really studied Omar Bradley, but I understand he was a great general. I don't want to use that word. I don't think they will red drum Trump ever. I don't think they ever will. They don't want to make a martyr out of him. But I think they could put him in jail and really test whether someone in jail like Lyndon LaRouche can run for office. I think Trump will get more votes than anybody else in the general election, just like he did last time, in my judgment, and from reading a lot of newspapers. But I think the final tally, the official vote, I think Biden is going to get more than 81 million votes this time because he's done such a good job. People are happy with him. Young people are happy with him. Women are happy with him. Minorities are happy with him. Latinos or Latinas or Latinx is happy with him. And men in general are very happy with Biden. I think Biden's going to get more than 81 votes as the final official tally. It might take a few days or a few weeks to get that final tally, but it'll come. $505 bid, 505 asked. Now that guy, I wish I remembered who it was, that said maximum pain will be $5. He might be right. The bid is $4.99. The ask is $503. We've got 1 hour and 20 minutes to go approximately. So maybe what they're doing is let it go up 29 cents so they can clear out the premium in all the calls above 5 and clean out the premium in all the puts below 5. That could be it. But it's still such low volume. It seems like this thing is set up for a rally. It seems like it's set up for a rally. Slippin' Sally through the alley. Joe Biden is the most popular president in history. He's more popular than Hillary Clinton. That must drive her crazy. He's more popular than Barack Obama. Must drive him crazy. He's more popular than Bill Clinton. That must drive Bill Clinton crazy. $5 to 504. 5 to 504, but no volume. Wouldn't it be something? Maybe Not Legal Advice is onto something. Maybe a big order comes in. Oh my gosh. What if in the last hour, hour and a half, they ran it up to 6, 7, or 8, and the guys on the other end of the trade had to sweat it out over the weekend, and on Monday it would gap open. Oh, you're saying I'm losing my mind? You're wondering what I'm smoking? I think you're right. You're getting a hurricane, Jenny. It's called Hillary, I think. And maybe we could get a gamma squeeze. Maybe they took Ham's advice. He won 130 fewer counties than Barack Obama and got 16 million more votes. Well, remember, people were voting against Trump. Can you help it if they just did it 5 or 6 times each? How is Clarence Thomas not indicted for what? I'm not a huge fan of Clarence Thomas, but I don't see what he's done wrong. Yeah, it's the Goomies. I was gonna suggest something and I lost my train of thought. Oh, Jenny and Not Legal Advice. The Hillary hurricane. When Fukushima Daiichi happened, it was March 11th of 2011, and immediately Barack Obama came on TV and said, "Folks, this is not going to affect America. It's not going to harm Americans, but your responsibility is to stay informed." Anyway, he said that, and I've tried to stay informed on Fukushima ever since. It's not in the front pages. They shut down ENE. It was called Energy News. I forget what E stood for, but ENE was the website. They shut that down. In Japan, they made it illegal to take pictures or put out any news, any tweet about Fukushima Daiichi. So anyway, I've tried to stay up on the information, but it's really difficult. But I want to point something out to you. There's one gentleman, and he's very good, but he has a weird name for his website, and I don't think he's taken very seriously, but he's really courageous and he talks about it. He calls his website Beautiful Girl by Dana, and also nuclear proctologist, that's always a winning name. But anyway, he points out that and I get some of this information from other sites. When I tell you there's 400 elephants a day, the size of 400 to 500 elephants a day, since March 11 of 2011, being dumped into the Pacific Ocean of highly radioactive water. And that's what we know about it. Could be a lot more. His point is that the radiation stays in the ocean, stays in the currents. And to get to my point as it relates to Hurricane Hillary, he points out that radiation is energy, and radiation can add to the strength of the winds and the gusts in a hurricane. I just throw that out there for no particular reason. Yeah, clean water. The problem, as Helen Caldecott says, the solution for pollution is not dilution in the case of radiation, because it concentrates as it goes up the food chain. And it's all very scary, but let's talk about other things. Well, there's a lot of different radiations, and I think it was the Fukushima Daiichi number 3 that used POX, P-O-X, which is, MOX, M-O-X, M-O-X, which was reprocessed weapons-grade plutonium and other waste. And when that exploded and blasted all over the countryside and into the forests and into the rivers and streams, it ejected, I'm not a scientist, isotopes? Anyway, it create types of radiation that have never been underneath our protective magnosphere in billions of years. And we don't have any protection against those kinds of radiation. We don't sense it, we don't smell it, we don't feel it. But we also won't survive it, and our DNA won't survive it. It's pretty frightening. And if Obama, instead of spending trillions of dollars to rescue Goldman Sachs, had spent trillions of dollars to secure Fukushima Daiichi, I think he would have gone down in history as the greatest president in the United States. But now I think he'll just be another unremembered human being. And I voted for him twice, by the way. Yes, I stopped drinking wine from California because the hydrology, the waves come in, and then you know all about it. As the water goes up into the atmosphere, it hits the mountains, then it rains. It's all very depressing. The thing is, it's not just California and Washington State. It's the whole northern hemisphere, because they're spraying seawater every single day on the coriums in Fukushima 1, 2, and 3, I think it is. 4, they had the idiocy of these plants. They took, to save money, they took a Westinghouse and I think a General Electric design from a submarine nuclear power plant, and they just made it bigger. So the reactor is down below, and then the waste is stored above the reactor. In addition to that, to save money, the natural geology of where they decided to put this plant used to be 80 to 85 feet above seawater. They blasted it down to sea level to have access to the water there. Well, when the tsunami came, the natural barrier was gone. They also saved money by putting the backup generators on the ground floor. Well, they flooded out. Also, idiotically, they put it on top of an earthquake zone, and they put it on top of an underground river that comes down off the mountains. It all to save money. But anyway, one of the reactors, I think it was 4, but I could be wrong, It might have been 2. I think it was 4. They had taken the waste out of the top because they had shut it down temporarily. So it was 3 meltdowns, not 4. We got lucky there. But each of those meltdowns was 3 times the size of Chernobyl. And you'll read in the news that Chernobyl is the worst nuclear disaster in the history of mankind. Well, each of the Fukushima Daiichi reactors melted down. 2 of them or 3 of them exploded. And they each were 3 times as big as Chernobyl. And the thing with Chernobyl, the Soviets went in, and men, it wasn't women, men went in and spent 10 seconds or less on the top and with helicopters, and they sealed it up. And it's above, it's on dry ground. Fukushima, they weren't able to seal it up, and it keeps leaking. And they spray water on these corium that they can't find, and that goes up in the troposphere, and it goes around the entire northern hemisphere. It's in the air across the northern hemisphere. It's pretty scary stuff. But Obama said, stay informed. It's really hard to stay informed on it because they don't report about it anymore. Yeah, I used to drive by that. Is it San Onofre, the one from LA down to San Diego? My mother used to live down there. And I was always amazed. It's beautiful, but always amazed how close. It's right on the ocean. But they shut that one down, I think. And there's a guy named Kevin. He's a nice guy. He's a nice analyst. Kevin, my brain. He pointed out, and then there's the Fairwinds, the guy from Fairwinds and his wife. Can't remember his name right now. But anyway, I listened to all of this because it was so scary. And then I got depressed and I couldn't listen anymore. But there are major nuclear accidents 1 every 7 years. 1 every 7 years. It's not safe. It's not a safe source of power. And I'm old enough to remember 3 Mile Island. I didn't remember Sellafield out of the UK, which is that was a massive problem. And then, of course, you've got Chernobyl, now Fukushima Daiichi. But there's been other releases around the world. Anyway, it's my fault. I should stop talking about it. That way we'll be all happy again. Morro Bay. I'm glad they're closing them. Well, that's where you used to camp. Do you know above LA where the Boeing plant, I think it was Boeing, but there above that, there's a Department of Defense site that is completely radioactive, and people have been catching that radiation. The John Wayne probably died from radiation that he absorbed when he was filming some movie in the desert near where they did all those open air bombing. Let's talk about Finger. I'd rather talk about Finger. He said everything about Patton was true. I read this. I think I read 2 books, but I read this. One gentleman gave me this book. I loved it, reading about Patton. I came to admire him. Simi Valley, yeah. It's I don't know. 15 miles from you. Ooh. That's pretty close. Whoever called it at $5 looks like they're going to be right. All right, in the money calls are automatically exercised. Is that true? In the money calls are automatically exercised. So then you receive a funds due notice, and you just have to sell the stock, and your account's restricted. Maybe you're right about that. Maybe you're right about that. Well, by the way, Skydog, everyone thought I was nuts. Everyone thought I was nuts. I started drinking Shiraz. Nobody I knew that I told that to stopped drinking California wines. Everybody thought I was crazy, and so I probably am. Kevin Kaufman. Did General Patton trademark his name? You know, if you laugh at not legal advice's jokes, it just encourages him. I'm sure not legal advice has heard this one. He belled and howled when someone dropped his camera. That one's not as good as this next one. Who dropped the toothpaste, said he, crestfallenly. His jokes are terrible. But luckily his legal mind is excellent. So maybe that's the trade-off. I know exactly, Suni. Who trades, if the SEC's watching, who sells finger at $4.99.82? It's got to be communication. It's got to be fraud. It's got to be crossing, and it's just terrible. Nobody has a crystal ball. If I'm crazy, I'm in good company. Well, I've always been crazy, but it's kept me from going insane. Do I have any time to watch other YouTubers' videos? I do sometimes, but Deacon Blues, two things. One, usually after I'm off these calls, I'm all drained. A lot of the time I'm full of self-doubt and inquiry about, oh God, I did a terrible job. I lost my temper. I shouldn't have said that. I should have said this. I go through all that and I get worn out. So sometimes I just don't want to think about these stocks anymore. But then I've listened to some others, but I kind of want my ideas and the things I say to be mine, so that if I screw up, you can only blame me. So in some ways, I stopped listening so that my advice or my thoughts were my own. I'm not sure, now that I'm saying that out loud, maybe that's not the best way to do it. Maybe I should be processing other people's thoughts. That's interesting. But yes, I do watch other YouTube videos. I don't know how to speed them up. If you spent time talking to strangers like me, Well, there's nobody stranger than he who just won't pee. 499 to 502. Monday could be interesting. Then again, who knows? Uh-oh. A Marine general once said, the enemy is in the front, behind, to the left and right. They have us surrounded. They won't get away this time. What's the new PR on Vocal today? Without looking at the PR, I like Jeremy and I like his fight. I think he needed to be singed so that he could be dissuaded or have removed from his mind any kind of sympathetic thoughts of Jeff Easton, Philip Valier, Kurt Kramer, Seth Kramer. It's a shame. But I think he's learned that. That's the good thing. He's learned. He said he wanted to get the hot money out of his stock, and he did that. But I think he's also learned that these are no good nicks. And so anyway, I think he's fighting. I think he's come up with a way of financing that won't further dilute the number of shares out there, but I'm not sure it's going to work. I haven't looked. My understanding is he's trying to raise $5 million from his users, but at what valuation? At what valuation? I have a feeling it's way too high. But I don't think he'll ever go back to Jeff Easton or Kurt Kramer, and that's good news. Yes, Skinny Whale. The SEC never is even curious about the coordination, the outright fraud, the communication that causes options, the stocks surrounded by options, to be pinned, as they call it, to a strike price. Doesn't bother Gary Gensler. Why? Because it's profitable to get to Goldman Sachs. Remember, if Goldman Sachs does it, it's not illegal. Will they close finger at $4.99? I think it's more likely they'd close it at $5 because the puts would be in the money 1 penny there. I think it's more likely they would close it at $5. What you don't want to happen right now is for them to drive the stock down to $4. What they don't want to happen is for the stock to be pushed up to $6. But whoever said $5 is probably going to be right. I just thought of something. I got to find it. I didn't print it out. I did not print it out. But there is a horse, of course. There is a horse, of course. Ah. This is a stallion, number seven in North American stallion standings. The name of the horse is Not This Time. And my friend, who I've known for over 20 years, and I've invested with him before, and had these calls worked, I would have invested this time. They're offering units in this horse, Not This Time, at 100,000 each, which are eligible for 82% tax deduction in 2023, and the revenue from this year will return at least 11% paid in 2024, and it'll increase to 17%. It's $100 million stallion, and they have a small piece of it. Anyway, my friend told me yesterday that he's got 150,000 left, and he was asking me if I knew anybody, and it just occurred to me, it is a thoroughbred horse deal. The guy's out of Kentucky. The name of the horse is Not This Time, and I'm sure you have to be accredited, or you have to be one of a handful of people that he accepts, which I'm sure with my recommendation he would. But if anyone has an interest with that very small intro to it, I guess email Jenny or Busy Brands or somebody, and I'll introduce you to him. I don't have any deal. I'm not making anything on it. But if I had made money on these calls, I would have invested in it, because this guy is honest. They run their partnerships where they take a piece at the beginning and then they get a higher piece, but it's all disclosed. The record keeping is excellent, and he's a horse trader, so to speak. He's also an oil and gas guy. Anyway, Not This Time. There's the picture. You could own a piece of this horse, Not This Time, this stallion. That's a gorgeous horse. You could own a piece. He's a stud, though. Anyway. You got some stock at 448. That's awesome. Yeah, Jenny, I think I have to work on... I talked to somebody yesterday to see if maybe I can start doing these lives with somebody, because I have to work on getting upset. It's not fair to everybody else. But then I'm not... I don't know, there's something about me that I don't roll over. Anyway, I've got to change it up. Maybe if I weren't bored, I wouldn't get upset. Maybe, I don't know. It's not you, it's me. William is spelled not this time. Any ham and cheese. We did do ham and cheese, Pistol Pete. That is a beauty. I've invested in some of these horse deals with him, and the best part of it is once you become an investor, he'll invite you to the Kentucky Derby or down to Florida, up to New York, out to California, and you get to meet all these investors and horse owners. I met Bob Baffert. People used to say I looked like Bob Baffert. So I walked up to Bob Baffert and I said, you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt. And he said, well, you are going to anyway. I said, yes. Or was that Christopher Hitchens? But anyway, I said, people think I look like you. And he looked at me, he said, "Is that right?" He wasn't fascinated. Any chance to go over logic and why we can get... Yeah, I can do that again. I can do it again since we have time. Let me see if I can do it differently, because I've done it the same way about 3 times in a row. Maybe I can do it in a more interesting way. Sorry about... because it's hot, I think things get in my eyes. I'm sorry. Okay. On Logic, the CEO is Brent's son. Same with GoLogic. But I'm not going to get buried in GoLogic. The basic concepts and the basic idea is identical for GoLogic. But I'm just not going to address it because I'm trying to keep it for clarity purposes. Logic, where's my thing? Logic, here's a 15-page discussion of that horse and the deal. And I can get it out to you if you're interested. One thing about this guy, when he trades, he's much more likely to get out of a horse too soon than hold it too long. So the negative is maybe you don't get this huge rate of return that a gambler would. But the positive is he doesn't lose money in his partnerships most of the time. I mean, you can't. When it's a one-horse partnership, this is a stud. That's different. But I remember there was one horse that, I forget, died on the track. It was a while ago. People got their money back, but it didn't make huge returns. But the insurance, there was insurance. All right, let me go to Logic. Hercats just beat Papillon. Okay, let me go to Logic. OTC markets. LGIQ Logic. I'm just trying to find a news story to start with so I can show you a starting point. There it is. Okay, so Logic, the symbol is LGIQ. It's trading for 27 cents. LGIQ. Well, actually, it's 26.5 cents. On 9/9, so almost a year ago, 9/9 of 2022, Data Logic, I'll just read this to you. DLQ, Data Logic announces plans to list on the NASDAQ via a merger with Aubrey SPAC. Data Logic Inc., a provider of digital consumer acquisition solutions and a wholly owned subsidiary of Logic, today announced it has entered into a definitive merger agreement for a business combination whereby it will merge with Aubrey Merger Sub Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Aubrey SPAC 1 Inc., which is a special purpose corporation. Upon closing of the business combination, the combined company is expected to remain NASDAQ listed under the name of Data Logic Inc. I've heard now that that's not true. It's going to be called well, maybe I didn't write it down, but I think it's going to be called Collective Audience, something like that, something like Collective Audience. Anyway, doesn't matter what the name is. A business combination between Aubrey and Data Logic will be effected, they said affected here, effected through the merger of Aubrey and into Data Logic. Upon the closing of the acquisition, they changed the name. Aubrey will issue 11.4 million shares in exchange for Data Logic at $10 a share. The valuation of Data Logic is $114 million. So this is a definitive merger agreement. It's into the SPAC, Aubrey, and it's a defined price, $114 million, $10 a share. All right, I'm not going to go through it any further, but that was announced a year ago. So Logic is going to distribute Data Logic into Aubrey SPAC. So let me show you Aubrey SPAC. $10.93 is Aubrey SPAC. So it's up basically 10% from the $10 agreed price. Now let me just see if there's any news. There might not be. No news on that. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to show you on the website for the SEC. Aubrey SPAC has amended its S4 as of a day ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and I always call it a red herring when I see the red, but it's a proxy. But in here seems to be the body of a prospectus as well. But it's already calling out for the vote into this deal I just described. And this just came out a couple of days ago on the website. And it goes through the various days this year of the various actions that happened. How many shareholders? I'm just trying to see if it has the all right. It does not have exactly the timing of the vote, but this is newly put out. I think it's in preparation for approval from the SEC. This has been before the SEC since September of last year. There were some delays. Logic was being shorted by somebody. We know for a fact it was not Ionic Ventures, because I received a letter from their law firm, which is over there. I'm not going to get it out, but it stated that not only has Ionic Ventures never shorted shares of Logic, they've never shorted any shares in any company. It's interesting. I'm sure there's a definition for is in there. But anyway, we know it wasn't Ionic Ventures, but we do know that the shorting happened after Logic agreed the deal with Ionic Ventures. So somewhere, somebody sniffed out that Ionic had two true ups at much lower prices in Logic's stock price, and Ionic didn't sell it short to get it down from $1 down to 20 cents so they could pick up 5 million more shares in return for the risk they were taking. It wasn't Ionic. I have proof of that. I have the letter from the lawyer says they never shorted, but somebody did it. And obviously not anybody that benefited, because Ionic got the benefit. But Ionic didn't do the shorting, so whoever was doing the shorting didn't get the benefit of the true up, but they were driving the stock down. So anyway, Brent entered into negotiations with the Ionic to retire that whole deal. And that took from about November to around February of this year, November of last year, February of this year. That delayed a little bit the progress in this merger, but maybe not a lot, but it took time. They got that done. The SEC has come back with, I think, 10 separate comment periods, something like that. Well, they just have finally answered the last questions on it. So I think the S4 is going to be approved. One of my indications is let me tell you the date. On August 14th, they amended the S4. So today's the 18th, 4 days ago. So I think this is a prelude to the approval from the SEC. You don't know the exact date, but the lawyers at Aubrey SPAC, I don't think would have gone through the expense of amending this if they didn't have a clear idea that the approval was coming. So anyway, what will happen? The Aubrey SPAC Logic deal, the S4 approval could come next week. Within about 2 weeks, they have to vote on the proxy, which is this that's in front of the SEC now. This SPAC, where Datalogic is going to go, is around $1.14, but that's at $10 a share. If you allow for the fact that it's up 10%, you could call this coming out of the gate at $1.25. Well, why isn't it reflected in Logic's share price? Mainly because Logic, the whole revenue stream, the whole platform, its artificial intelligence is Datalogic. So they're ejecting Datalogic from Logic, and it's going into the Aubrey SPAC. Well, that's great. But there's shorts out there saying, well, then you're just going to have a shell in Logic. It's just going to be a shell. There's nothing there. So why don't we short this at 40 cents, 35 cents, 30 cents, 25 cents, 20 cents, and we can get this down to 10 cents or lower, and we can make a quick profit. Remember, in Gary Gensler's marketplace, it's perfectly legal for collusion to occur amongst market participants as long as they're stealing money from you and me. It's perfectly legal. They can communicate with each other, they can cross shares, and they can overwhelm the price of a stock by selling shares that do not exist. That probably is happening here. But also, it could be real short sellers that are borrowing shares, selling it, because they figure, if they're going to get rid of their main revenue engine, what's left? Okay. I showed it earlier just now, and maybe I can find it again. Show you one more thing. but I have to go back to the news. And there's other acquisitions, by the way, going on. All right, so in November of last year, Logic announced that they were going to acquire a privately held operating company worth $250 million. Well, you can look that up, but that worked out to 40 cents a share. Now there's more shares outstanding now, but Logic has allowed that deal. It was a non-binding letter of intent. They let that expire without exercising it. Why? I think it's because they have a better deal. Because Brent is seeing the cream of the crop deals. All the negativity in the marketplace that's worked against us now might be working in our favor, specifically with Logic, because the IPO market is dead for small companies. So anyway, I think they let this Privco deal go because they have a better deal. So going back, when they're shorting Logic because they figure Data Logic is leaving the fold and all that's left is a shell, pretty soon they're going to recognize, and I don't know when, but I would guess either simultaneously to the approximately to the deal closing or even sooner, Logic will announce, I think, a new deal. Now they got to pick which one, but I'm sure they're well down the road on that. So instead of Logic being worth, the shell being worth, 5 cents, 10 cents, I think it's going to be worth more than the deal they let go on a per share basis. Otherwise, why let this one go? So to summarize, Logic is waiting for SEC approval on the S4 to distribute Data Logic into Aubrey SPAC, which will de-SPAC. I think this will be worth $1.25 out of the gate. Now, will it trade there? I think so. Why? Because once the deal is done, if the S4 is approved next week, and it takes 2 weeks to get the votes and the effective date, you're talking the first or second week of September. That's when, once it's effective, I think it'll get close to $1.25. So your one piece of paper turns into one piece of collective audience. That's the name they've come up with. And another piece of paper, which is the Logic shell, which right now is being shorted either legally or illegally or both, because they figure there's not going to be anything there. I'm telling you, every bit of logic, so to speak, indicates that they have a deal to replace the private co they let expire. I think that deal could be 50 cents a share. And you'll notice I'm raising these prices a bit, but that's what I think. So Logic for 30 cents right now could be 50 cents in the shell, $1.25 in the ASPA. It works out to $1.75. So 6x. And I think that you're talking September where you see a lot of that. Where it could get more exciting than that is, and it's been in the press releases, there is a lot of deal flow. I'd say dozens of companies that Brent is able to screen. I understand that the SPAC deal where Data Logic is going, they may already have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 companies ready to go to be absorbed. Remember, they've got one of the best deal makers on the board. The SPAC is set up to acquire deals, and Brent is a great deal maker. And they've got a good investment bank. So I expect that the SPAC portion of this could go to $2.50. It might go to $3 in the next 90 days or so. And this is true on the other side too. Starting at 50 cents, maybe they get it up to 75 cents a dollar based on deals, based on management. So where I come up with closer to 10 times, just leave that at 40 or 50 cents. But this could go not to 125, it could go to 250, 350 in the next 90 days. So that's my answer on your question about logic. John Berta is out? Out of what? What's John Berta out of? What's with the long face? Skinny Whale, Nico, can you imagine DMM? Well, that in the pre-market and after hours, the criminals control it, and that's why. Thank you, Jenny L. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. Decro 12, keep your eyes on the road and don't listen to me. All right, we'll go to 4 o'clock, and I think my head is pounding a bit. I think I might stop at 4. John Berta is in GTII. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. John Berta is a good man, in my judgment. So we're at 504 on Finger. The volume is 291,000 shares. So it's less than 300,000 shares. And I think it was over 200,000 when Ham started talking. So there's been no volume. This seems like a powder keg. Let's see. Power hour. Power half an hour. Korean. It's Wall Street, Goldman Sachs controls all, when I say Goldman Sachs, I mean all of the big players. I'm just using that one name, but you can add in several others. They control the regulatory bodies. And this started under Bill Clinton. The idea that Wall Street, of course, could regulate itself, because why would they ever put themselves in a position to lose money? Thank you, Bill Clinton. Stick with government and memorizing speeches and names. 502, 505. 502, 505. Do you think it's going to go to 6? Look, that's my opinion why the squeeze stopped. Unfortunately, in real life, you don't know for sure. You don't know for sure. But there's no question that everything I just described occurred. The good news is there's more shares short now. So the squeeze should be higher. Also, it's possible that those guys I named didn't know what they were doing. They may not have known. They may have been manipulated themselves, or they may have really believed the well, anyway, they may not have known. Yeah, Logic I talked about 1.5 hours ago. Go Logic can do the same thing. Go Logic is, I think, 70 cents. By the end of the year, it could be $7 or $8. But the reason I'm not talking about it in specifics is we all know, because it's a definitive agreement. Go Logic is distributing its fintech business to recruiter.com and NASDAQ stock. But they need to work out the ratios, and they need to work out with NASDAQ how it enters that platform, and whether it's a change of control or if it's some other thing. And because I don't know those ratios, because I don't know the final status of it, because in fact I don't know the names, it's very similar. GoLogic is going to distribute to recruiter.com, which will trade on the NASDAQ, the fintech business, and there'll be other deals there. Leaving GoLogic as a shell, which will be acquired by another company. And it's massive deal flow they see. I just don't know the names of the company or companies. I don't know the exact timing. I do believe both GoLogic and Logic will have very similar record dates and effective dates. So I think GoLogic, all this is going to happen over the next 1 or 2 weeks. It's just not a story that I can explain clearly, because I don't know all the pieces. I don't know all the ratios. And there's still some things I don't even think the company knows, although everything's moving extremely quickly. I think GoLogic could be worth $6 to $8 a share by the end of the year. It's trading for 60 cents, 70 cents. So, and when I say that, I mean the value of you have one piece of paper that's going to become two. I'm talking about the combined value by the end of the year. But yesterday and today, I decided I'm just going to talk about Logic because it's too confusing. It's just too confusing. So that's why, I spoke about Logic an hour and a half ago, and I just did it again. So it's 5 to 507 on Finger, and they still haven't crossed 300,000 shares. So the gentleman that said maximum pain at $5 looks like he might be right. It's totally confusing, Dos Equis. I spoke to Brent last week and I said, is there any way you can summarize this for me? I said, I'm losing my mind keeping this all straight. I feel like an idiot. He said, it's not you. Everybody gets confused. So that's one of the arbitrages here, is that people are confused by it. So once Logic makes some of these announcements, and GoLogic, the confusion will lift and the prices should reflect the diminishment of uncertainty. I know exactly, John Horton. Busy Brands. Hola. Busy Brands, how are you? I was just thinking about Tony Twits. That's why I was quiet. And I couldn't think of what to say. But At least he died fighting the good fight and doing what he believed in and doing right. At least he died doing right, and that's pretty good. That's a pretty good way to go out. Hey, Big JR, Tiny JR. 510. I don't see 510. I know. Rest in peace. Did you see that guy that jumped off the building and he broke into two pieces? He was that was not Bloomberg. It was some building in New York. Went through the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. Oh, let me look at BBBYQ. By the way, when I judge other people's recommendations, my recommendation on Created was completely wrong. Absolutely wrong. It cost me a lot of money, but I know it cost several people money too. I don't see BBBYQ percolating. I guess you're right, it's up 16%. It's 21 cents. But back when I was just insisting it wasn't going to go up, it was 36 cents. So I don't know what to say about it. Scott, I don't think you have to ask Susan that question. But if you want to be sure, maybe you do. But I'll give you my understanding. When you're dealing with options, they have to get the shares. So it's a different regime. And that's why gamma squeezes occur. Yeah, maybe that's right, Deacon Blues. That's kind of you, but it's not fair to question someone else's. Not everyone's as perfect as I am. Tony Twits is checking out the blue sheets right now. I bet he's getting the help of some powerful people up there. It's going to come down like an avenging. Well, maybe shorts do need to cover on Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. I just don't think the stock will have any value. I found that material things I thought had so much value didn't have any value at all without someone to love me for me. And then, girl, you came into my life. You made my jagged edges smooth. And just to be close to you, girl, if only for a moment, if only for an hour. Bed, barf, and beyond. That sounds like where my dog should be. There's no one upside for me giving advice in Bed Bath and Beyond, but they're in bankruptcy. They sold their online operations for less than $20 million, $15 million. They're selling their Beyond Baby crap that you could buy on Amazon anyway. They're selling that well below $15 million, the bid was. And now they're just liquidating real estate. They reworked their debt. I think they got about $1 billion or $1.5 billion in debt reduced or paid off, but they still have $1 billion and $1.5 billion in debt remaining. So what the hell asset is there that's going to give equity to any value? What's there for shareholders? I don't see anything. I see zero. Absolutely zero for shareholders. Oh, it's shared intellectual property. Well, maybe it can get paid out over time, but my guess is if you bring in real money to get it going again, you've got to refinance the debt. You've got to come in with mezzanine and debt capital, but then you're going to need an equity piece. And whatever that new equity piece is going to cram down the current shareholders. So maybe there'll be a really, really little sliver. I don't know. I just don't think it's worth the risk. They are keeping finger close to $5 to wipe out the $5 calls. I also think they might be trying to wipe out the $5 puts. I had half a notion that they might try to get it to $6 to really do a head fake on everybody. But there was somebody on this call, I don't know, 3 hours ago that said $5 is where it was going to close. And it looks like he's 100% right. And AVCTQ, I don't know anything about that one. I will be coming to Northern Virginia in the middle of September. I'd like to have lunch in Old Town. Sure. Just, I don't know. Maybe reach out to Busy Brands or to Jennifer or somebody else that you think has my details. What does manipulating the calls do for the shorts? I don't think it does much for the shorts. I think the premium goes to the option market makers and the option players. That's my opinion. Others might have a different opinion. Oh, there he is. Rich was the guy. I know, Kit. I think it looks like, with my stupid luck, my options expire and it'll go Monday morning. Oh, AvTQ got delisted. You bought 200 finger to help out. Every bit helps. There's so much lined up for finger. BBBYQ equals SHLDQ. I don't even know which one that was. Retail has a ton of more landmines in the coming economy. I don't know, Kit, what you mean. If that means BBYQ is going to go up or it's going to go down, but I don't know. I'm not. I would rather put my 26 cents in RCRT for a trade or logic for a run, or I don't know. Well, their net operating loss is an asset, I'm sure, Robin Lionheart. But I'm speaking out loud. I have no idea. But I would gather that it's already been sold. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't think Kit thinks we should bend over for the shorts. Well, look, our CRT did a deal similar to what COSM did, or CLNV, or CLUE. All these companies, when the stock runs up, all of a sudden there's a front for the shorts comes and says, here, we'll give you money in return for stock and warrants, and the next thing you know, the stock's down. It's irresistible to CEOs. But GTII is not doing it, and I don't think Finger will do it, in these price levels. I think Finger will raise money. I think Finger will raise money maybe in a plain vanilla way at much higher numbers, like $10, $15, $20 a share. But who knows? I mean, that could be me just wishing. I'm back holding BBBY. You watched a video last night, extremely positive from a smart guy. All right, so follow that video. Just Google it, BBBY, and I'm sure if that guy's smart, and I trust you, he knows much more about it than I do. So, no, Fingers under 5, yeah. Well, that's what Busy was saying. When it was over 5, it was probably trying to take as much premium from the calls. Now under 5, they're probably trying to take the premium from the puts. Houston Wade. When you guys say base, why do you say base? In my generation, we would say someone is biased. But everyone in your generation says based. He's based. I don't know where that comes from. I think I've lost my marbles. $4.96, $4.99. Well, Finger will be good next week. All lawyers down deep, all lawyers are good. Six feet under. You slay me. You slay me. Wolf had good earnings, AMC beat earnings. What is the point of the SEC? The point of the SEC is to protect Goldman Sachs. It's as simple as that. My English is just proper. It's a proper topper, upper. Base means grounded. All right, base. He's so base. But it's not the proper use of the word base. Base isn't a verb. He's base. I don't know. It's weird. The English language is weird. $4.97, $4.99. I know you said bias. I said base. And she said tomato. Can we get a dip in Finger at 425? I actually think, Zonkar, you could get a dip in Finger. Let me lay out the scenario that is possible. It's possible that whoever replaces Benchmark and Lynn Partners makes an announcement that they're going to raise money. Now, I'm just speculating here. But if they did that, I think the shorts and the boo birds would try to scare everybody and say, oh my gosh, dilution, it's another warrants, it's another convertible note. And you could get a sell-off. To me, it would be very short in duration. It could be sharp. Maybe you get down to the numbers you're talking about. But then I think it'll snap back as people realize that finger motion has excellent management, just like in my judgment, logic does. I don't think Martin Shen will ever take a toxic deal like Lynn Partners offered ever again, because he hired Wes Christian, he hired Sharon Tell, he bought that out. I think the next financial partner, for lack of a better word, will have real standing on Wall Street. It'll be a bona fide investment bank of some kind, an investment partner of some kind. And I think the financing, whatever is offered, will be plain vanilla. It is a different world. AMC 410. Finger 496. Based was popularized by rapper Little B, who said it means being yourself and not caring what others think of you. To carry yourself with swagger. So he's based. I like that. Thank you for telling me. There's another term out there, Robin, that I have no idea what it means. Fronting. He's fronting. I assume it means he's either pretending to be something he's not, or he's showing his, like a peacock, showing all his feathers, or like a bodybuilder showing all his muscles. He's presenting his power or his best image. But I have no idea what fronting means. But I think fronting came out of rapping. 495, 497, up 21 cents. Not keeping it real. Why you fronting? Why you fronting? Front this, pal. 495, 497. 495, 497. One good buy in finger with 3 ticks on the clock. Well, Colonel Kurtz, the horror. 494 to 495. So it looks like Busy Brands is right. They're just going to take all the premium out of the calls, but I could still be right that it closes at 5 exactly, and they take the premium on both sides. I'm not going to be right with my flippant prediction last night that it could go to 6. But I'm certainly glad it's not going to 4. I think we can agree on that. Yes, let's be based. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Yes, Gary Gensler is fronting. Acting like you are more, or you have more than what really exists. Casey drove around the running car acting like it was her. She was straight fronting. Is it like Uptown Ranking? Yeah, chosen everything is flat. There's a boatload of September 15th $8 calls. That's really interesting, New Jersey. If that's true, maybe $8 becomes the new $5. And maybe it happens next week. That'd be pretty cool. I'm so based. I'm so tired. And I curse Sir Walter Raleigh. He was such a stupid git. 493, 494. There's nothing like watching a stock close, is there? You can indict a ham sandwich, but I tell you one thing. Don't put mayonnaise on it. All right, 13. There's a big bidder in here. But there's no volume. So I'm still going to call you New Jersey? No, I don't have to call you New Jersey. Based. A word used when you agree with something or when you want to recognize someone for being themselves, courageous or unique, not caring what others think. Based on what do you base that? Based response. 494, 495, 494, 495. I'm sailing, sailing away. Sailing, ever sailing across the sea, far away, endless sailing, always sailing, far, going to miss you. To be free, I am sailing, always sailing, far away, across the sea, always sailing, always sailing. Freebase. Could someone wash trades up? I don't know. Yes. But there's no real incentive to do that because you're not solving the problem. Although, if you believe them, they can't keep track. But somehow, when there's buy-ins, they're able to determine that they are located shares, that they are going to be delivered. So I don't think they would wash trades up. I think they need to have real shares. Look at that, 514 ask. So it closed. Where did it close? 497. So we have to give credit to now I remember, I forgot his name. The guy that said $5, and we have to give credit to Busy Brands for recognizing that they're going to take away all of the premium. And I'll throw in Skinny Whale because I think she called it too. 508, maybe it'll rock and roll now after the hour. Wouldn't that be something if it closed at 6 or 7? No one's actually selling, but to Gary Gensler, he's not curious. He is not curious. No one is selling, yet today you have almost 400,000 shares traded, and the stock doesn't go up. Really. But Gary Gensler's not interested. This kind of fraud is okay because Goldman Sachs makes money at it. Nothing Goldman Sachs does is against the law. Every now and then, they inadvertently make a mistake, but Goldman Sachs is honest, clean. They make their money the old-fashioned way. They they earn it. All right, R.C. LaBelle. trying to remember the song you used to sing. Patti LaBelle. I lost a lot of money today too, Da Hobler, and it makes me a little nauseous. But one thing, if you're going to buy more, one thing, the only thing you can do is treat it as if you paid, I don't know what's the example. Let's say you bought calls for 50 cents last month and you buy calls Monday for 50 cents. Just pretend you paid $1. Yeah, it's. I'm starting to wonder if a big buyer is really going to materialize. But having said that, the big buyer seems to be in there every single day. Even today, the buyer seems to be present. So I guess whenever they decide to really buy, they do. Yeah, they allowed a lot of people to buy more shares, Kit, and that's tremendous. In fact, yeah, it's a gamble. But I don't know. I think I could have done better. I think I could have gotten out 2 weeks ago. But anyway, once it's over with the market, otherwise you go insane. Did the options expire worthless? Well, the September 1s closed at basically $4. The September 2s closed at basically $3. The September 3s closed at basically $2. The September 4s closed at basically $1. Everything else, the 5, 6, 7s, 8s, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13s, and 14s expired worthless on the call side. On the put side, the September 1 puts expired worthless. The 1, 2, 3, and 4 September puts expired worthless. The September 5 puts closed at 5 cents. The 6s at 95 cents, the 7s at $1.95, the 8s at $2.95 bid, the 9s at $3, the $3.90, the 10s at $4.90, the 11s at $5.90, the 12s at $6.90, the 13s at $7.90, and the 14s at $8.90. So some options expired worthless, and some options for Finger were enormously valuable on the last day of trading. Thank you for your question, Marlon Mundo. We need a whale. Oh, so you exercised your $5. I wonder, how did you do it? Maybe I could do it. It's probably too late. Just buy the stock. All right, it's 4:05. If you want to get into a basically a breeding program or a stud program, around not this time. text or direct message Busy Brands, and just say that that's why you're doing it, and I can introduce you to this friend, a very good friend of mine, and he'll do this every year. He'll have 2 or 3, 4 programs with great and exciting horses. He just took a bunch of people to London with one horse who won the race in front of the Queen, the King. Oh, you had to call the trade desk. Well, I think I'm not gonna. I think I'm not gonna do it because. All right, Lucky, we'll go out. I am sailing, always sailing. 80,000 of crypto hacked from your wallet? Good Lord, 80,000? That's a lot of squid. Well, I can't tell you the reversals that I think about, and sometimes when I'm weak and tired, I can get quite upset. But this finger trade has the potential of reimbursing you for that transaction. I assume you can take the loss off your taxes. So if you get big gains in finger, I'm guessing something like 40 or 50% of that loss can be written off against your taxes. So at least that's what I tell myself. Why deal with options and stay with the stock? Yeah, I agree, David. It's the stock price is so low, you might as well just buy the stock. I look back on Finger, and I played the options in October, to my memory, October, November, and December. And then I just said, I've had enough fun. And then I got back in July, August, and now September. I bought a few this morning. And I realized that if instead of that, I had just applied the capital to shares, I'd be better off. But that's looking backwards, Now I realize I should have, which girl I should have married. I didn't know it at the time. So, it's just life. The biggest reason to do options, if you're doing one-off trade, to buy the stock right now costs you $5. If for some reason they were able to short it like they did last November or more recently now, back down to 60 cents, you could lose $4.40. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. But if you bought, let's say the $6 calls for 50 cents, I don't know. All you could lose is 50 cents. That's all you could lose. And you could buy more, so the upside, if it happened in the time frame that is defined, you could have a much, much higher leverage to the upside. Those are the reasons to trade options. Also, as Ham tries to teach you, and I wish I had known when I was younger, it's like freeze-dried coffee. Once you hear about it, it's obvious, but it's not obvious until you're taught about it. But if you own options and it trades up, your 50-cent options go to $2, you can sell those, reestablish your position, and take all that money, your original money, and a small profit off the table. If you're trading the stock and it goes up $1.50 off of $5 and you sell it, well, then what? I guess you could go in and buy options, and then you're back in a circular way. You're back to the beginning of your question. Oh my gosh, Ocean. Ocean's 11. How did they get in there? It was hacked. It was hacked. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it'll come back. Vocal closed at 4 cents. GTI closed at 72. Someday this will seem funny. Well, it's 412. I'll either go to 415 or to 430. Scott, I don't know about that. Listening to me, you never know when I'm going to. Well, Robert, on our CRT yesterday, as you know, it ran to maybe 46 cents. And then they did a deal. And it's like, darn it, don't these CEOs learn the lesson that these criminals, it was like 46 million shares yesterday. So the banker obviously, in the middle of that frothy rallying, sold stock maybe, we don't know for sure, at 46 cents, offered it to the company at 31 cents, booked a profit, nice, of maybe, let's call it 10 cents on $1 million, but it was 3 million shares, so maybe booked a profit of $300,000 just for providing the CEO with money the CEO could have gotten for himself if he had access to a market maker. But the SEC would never allow a CEO to break the law. But the SEC allows investment banks to do it all the time. Why? Because Goldman Sachs is an investment bank. So anyway, they made a quick probably 300 grand on the trade today, and then they got yesterday, and they got 3 million in warrants. The company got $1 million. Killed the rally. But yes, I think our CRT is going to go up again. I think they're going to try to get that stock up, and they're going to try probably to get GoLogic up for many reasons. But I think our CRT needs to stay on the NASDAQ. GoLogic, the fintech business in GoLogic, they want to be on NASDAQ. They've got to work out their ratios, obviously. So I think they're going to try to get our CRT up next week or over the next 3 weeks. But it's not a for sure thing. That was 50 million shares traded yesterday, and then they got it down like this. So it might be a hard job, but I think they're going to try. I think that was, I don't remember your question. If you said, are they going to try? I think the answer is yes. Is it going to be successful? I think the answer is going to be yes, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah, they have the offer of 31 cents. All right. I think it's going to go 50, 60, 70 cents. That's what I think. But I'm not saying, yesterday, if I hadn't been on the phone with you guys, I probably would have sold my little position for 45 cents. Why? That's close enough. When you're trading, that's close enough. You have to leave something on the table to induce somebody to buy it from you. You have to leave some upside. But I was talking, and, if it had still been 45 cents, 50 cents this morning, I would have sold it probably. So my point is, if it runs to 45, 50, 60 cents next week, 2 weeks, maybe you take your profit. On the other hand, you could stay in it and benefit from what I think is going to be a really nice upside in the combined company. Did Gary Gensler say hi to me when I saw him? Did he talk with me? No, but I was the one taking the picture of Anna. I looked at him. He looked at me, but he didn't say anything. He might have nodded, actually, now that I recall. When he sat down, we were sitting behind him. He might have nodded in general. But no, he didn't really give me any hello. His henchman wouldn't allow me to reach in and shake Gary's hand. His henchman blocked me out. So, no, I didn't talk to Gary Gensler. Rework reverse split of 40 to 1, 14 cent stock. I don't know anything WeWork, but that's a bet. It'll be 14 cents again. If you look at Fingers 3-month chart, yeah, high or lows, definitely. Hey, Alia, Lucky's doing much better. We had a good walk, and I just to sum it up, he looks like he's doing a lot better. He's taking the steroids, but I worry if I'm lying to myself. I worry if this is just temporary, like an Indian summer, and then it's going to go back to trouble. But I'm hopeful. He's got his smile on his face. He gets excited. He wants to pull me. He's very old. He doesn't pull that hard. But he wants to go into a store, go in, get a treat, all at a very slow pace. But at least he's interested in life. He's eating. He's drinking a lot of water. So maybe I have more time with him. I just bought a bunch of dog food, so I'm counting on it. I didn't go on my trip, and I'm glad for that, because by being here, I think I helped him recover. But I have to steel myself in case it all goes south again, because if it does go south again, I think it'll be permanent and very quick. But I would love it if it's a few more weeks, a few more months, another year. I would love it. I think one of his strengths is I got him at the pound, so he's probably a bit of a mutt, and so that probably gives him a lot of internal hardiness that purebred dogs don't have. He is taking prednisone. So that's why he's eating and drinking. It is more temporary than not. Shoot. Because his eyesight, like right now, he's looking at me. I'm not sure he sees me. And sometimes he walks up to a door. I'm not sure he realizes that it's a door. There's all sorts of things he does out of habit. But when he's looking, I'm not sure he's seeing it. So maybe it's more temporary. I hate it. Okay, so yes, I reckon so. If I talk to Josie Wales, I think I tell him the war is over. Reckon so. I know it's going to crush me. And Ben, I'm not going to want to live alone. I'm going to have to go get a girlfriend. No. I just don't know. I won't want to live alone. But since I'm not drinking, I can't go on a bender. What's the actual age of Lucky? I don't know. Probably, if I followed what they told me, he would be 15 or 16. But he wasn't when I got him, he wasn't what... They told me he was 2 years and a quarter old. But the fact is, he was less than a year old because his weight was around 33 pounds. And he went on to be closer to 70 pounds. Now I would guess he's probably under 45 because he's lost weight. But He was a puppy when I got him. So I guess he's 13. Pretty soon he'll be 14. Get a puggy. I don't know. I'll be crushed. And he's so handsome. How can I ever find a handsome dog again? All right, go see a musical. Just don't see Cats. All right. Um, uh, 422. I think I'm going to, unless something pops up, I think I'm just going to call it here and thank everybody for tuning in. I'm really sorry that the options, your options in Finger expired worthless. Mine too. It's painful. But over the weekend, just think about it. You can either just say, hey, I've had enough, which I understand, and just wait for the next idea. Or maybe just buy a few and to have your foot in, or buy the stock, or focus on something else. But it's a real shame that nothing happened by today. Rocky Horp. Yeah, I'm not going to get a replacement dog. I might have to get a girlfriend. And then I'll break up with her after I'm over with it. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't think I'll want to be alone. I am serious about that. I'll probably have to travel or just stay busy, And I'm not sure I want to be I'm not sure I want to be where I remember him. Are you looking at me? See, I don't even know if you recognize me. All right, so I'm going to go. And I thank each of you. And I agree with many of you. I'm trying to remember the names, but I agree with many of you that next week could be exciting for Finger based on the chart, based on today's volume, based on it feels like there's a professional buyer in there, based on the fact that it looks like they're going to have to find a new quote unquote investment bank or investment partner. That could be exciting. We'll find out what that is. But if it doesn't happen now, I think September's earnings, which probably would be around the last week of the month of September, but I think September's earnings report could be just blast off exciting. So anyway, we'll see. Dog never talks back. Well, Ted Williams, that's the difference between, the difference between a girlfriend and a dog. If you come home smelling like other dogs, your dog doesn't care. All right. I don't know. I always think my dog loves me, and then I think it really boils down to treats. When I'm depressed, I think men just have to acquire their affection some way or the other. You're so good. Can you see me? Can you see me? But he's so loyal. He's such a good boy. He's such a good boy. He's such a good boy. Well, yeah, and I've lost money on options July and August. I don't have very many September options, but I have to build into if it works, well, it has to make up for those losses. And hopefully now it's getting ready to. Dog wants Gucci. Gucci. He wants Gucci. My dog just wants treats. He just wants treats. Okay. 427. Peace, love, happiness. And I'm going to sign out. And we're going to go walk, Lucky and I. And hopefully he's going to be a happy boy. So we'll talk. Maybe over the weekend. I might try to do a video on Logic because I think Logic is imminent. I might do one on Finger. I think that's imminent. But otherwise, if we don't talk this weekend, we'll talk Monday. So ciao.